The amateur game has always been a big part in our lives. It's always the topic of our conversations and it's constantly on our minds on a daily basis.
Although it's not at a professional level, the amateur game is a working class sport at a working class level. Players put their bodies on the line, lives on hold, and have worked their socks off to be the best they can be from the top to the bottom of the amateur game.
We live and breathe football, and the amateur game has given us our best years in football. Both of us have come to the end of our playing days and want to sit and speak to the legends of the game, legends in their world, to sit and listen about the careers and stories of the game we love.
Welcome to our podcast.
3 points, please.
Today we have a Wayside legend. Has stepped into a manager role the last 3 years after taking over from another Wayside legend. This week we have Ross Zambra. Welcome, Ross.
Welcome, Ross.
Thanks, man.
So
Glad to be here.
How's the football going for you?
It's going all right. Could do better. We were obviously beaten in the Intermediate Cup semi-final there a couple of weeks back, so still a little bit sore from that now. But the season's gone all right. We've won a lot of cup games this year that we haven't done in years and years. Do you know what I mean? So from that respect, you can see progress. But look, at the moment we're in a relegation fight as well. Do you know what I mean? We need to pick up points in the league. So
The cup run's going to mask the league form sometimes, doesn't it? It gets a good buzz around the club, and then once you're, as you said, you got knocked out, you're back to reality then. So fuck, you've a long slog here.
Definitely. Now, to be fair, we've won 2 out of 3 since then, so the lads have responded quite well. There's a young enough team as well, do you know what I mean? So I think some of them probably think, we'll get to another semi-final next year and it'll be different. Now, it doesn't work like that, do you know what I mean?
Definitely not, Glebe beat you semis.
Glebe, Look, it was a tight game. It was really tight. Extra time, OG and extra time, 5 minutes to go. So, really tough one, but you know, sometimes you need the luck, you know, and get to a cup final. We just didn't get it on this occasion, you know. So,
as a manager, would you be someone that dissects the game on the way home in the car, or you can't sleep at night, or is it the next day job?
Well, I think the best thing that's after happened to me since being a manager is I've had 2 kids, because even the Glebe game, I came home and it was 11:45 or so. Came home and the wife was there in the stairs, baby crying, and she just went, "Here you go."
Occupies the mind, yeah.
To be honest with you, at that straight away, it was just like, you need to just get over this. You know, you're a dad, and that's it. And from that moment on, I had to start getting over it. Do you know what I mean? Now, I was genuinely good for everyone, especially the people around the club. Do you know what I mean? We haven't been in the final a long time, and I was gutted for them especially, and obviously the players as well. But yeah, here you go, your son's crying, get back to work. Do you know what I mean? So that's it.
Sometimes it's a good thing though, because as a player myself in coaching, you overanalyze things, and then you can overanalyze in the wrong way and try and change something that doesn't need to be changed that way. So if you have something that occupies the mind, it's probably a little bit better.
100%. And I was probably even worse as a player, that I kept beating myself up for things that happened in games, and because you didn't have that distraction in your life, you only got it over when you played the next game. Do you know what I mean? It could be a week and it could be a year. Do you know what I mean? It always killed me, matches. Now, I was always one who looked at myself first. Do you know what I mean? I think lads these days, they're not the same. Do you know what I mean? They kind of look, well, he didn't do his job, or do you know what I mean? So
point the finger.
Point the finger, 100%. That's kind of what I think now, I have to say. But
it's a defence mechanism for some people, and just to blame someone else, take the shine off.
Definitely, 100%. I think so anyway. Like, just from what I've seen over the last few years, and just think lads these days, even coming from League of Ireland, where they're being told they're elite players and all this sort of stuff, and then they're coming to me and I'm saying, look, you need to pay your tenner subs every week. Do you know what I mean? And like, they're looking at me, it's like, well, I'm an elite player. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you're not really. You're playing the Leinster Senior League now. So
you said about it is a league club there, but you still have to pay. You still have to fund us.
Exactly. There's no one gets anything for free, especially in Wayside. And I know other teams in the league have different resources than we do, but that's the way our club is. Do you know what I mean? It's a community club. We've got, I think, 17, 18 schoolboy teams.
Brilliantly well run club from top to bottom, isn't it?
Amazing club, it really is. It's exactly what you want in the club. There's people just there because they love the club, and that's it, you know.
What teams is around you now? What would you find anyone for the players?
For players, I suppose the nearest one is probably Tech. They're after dropping down a couple of leagues, and Greystones aren't too far away. They're to be the two that, even traditionally player wise, you'd be saying,
jump around sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But really, like in the borough, the Dunleary borough, the teams are just gone. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you go back 20 years, you would have had Workman's Club Dunleary, you would have had Joe's senior team, Joe's Glass Tool, Tech. They would have all been in the top league. Do you know what I mean? And now it's just gone. Do you know what I mean? Now, there has been Bray, you know, and the underage setup and all. I think that's taken away from it a bit. But football in the Borough is really at a low ebb now, I'd say. You know, and Tech, hopefully they stay up in, I think they're in 1A at the moment. I hope they stay up, because it'd be terrible for the Borough to have no club there. Like, Wayside's out of the Borough, but I'm trying to get the lads from the Borough to come up. Do you know what I mean?
Of course.
Yeah.
But you're enjoying it anyway, Ross, as manager wise.
Yeah.
You said you're finding it hard to throw the boots, or hang them up, or
That's
throw them
been
out, one or the other.
For the year and a half, I kind of tried to play and manage at the same time, and it's very difficult.
Impossible.
It's very difficult. It was.
I'd say it's a lot easier when someone hangs them up for you, I'd say.
Yeah, I'm hanging them up for myself, to be honest with you. I'm not picking myself, so I'd love to keep playing. And look, I know you stepped away from Crumlin as well, Alan. Like, I think if I stopped being the manager at Wayside, I'd go and try and play again, because I still think I can play. Now, maybe I can't. Do you know what I mean? But as you said, Nelson, it could be up for someone else to tell me, you know, it's over for you, do you know what I mean? But I just love playing. I always have. It's always been the be all and end all for me. And even
Wayside's your club, isn't it?
Wayside's
Yeah,
my
it's your
club
club.
now,
Like, you've always been, anytime I played against Wayside or seen Wayside, it was
always
your name, and you were always there. Yeah. Always.
No, once I arrived, I never wanted to leave, to be honest with you, lads, and that's testament to the people around the club. We've had good and bad times, we've won things, we've got relegated and all, but since the day I stepped into the club, I never wanted to leave. And I still, like, if someone offered me a different job inside the Lancashire League, I'd say no. Like, no, it's just going to be the only club for me, and that's it. You know,
brilliant. There's a nice feel to the club, even as an outsider or an opposition player going into it. Any time I've travelled out there, you go into Jackman Park, just into the car park. It's always busy. There's always people, lovely people around outside the change room. They'll open the door for you. They'll welcome you in. They'll offer you a cup of tea. They'll tell you where you're going. It's comfortable, isn't it? It's that sort of place.
Like, I'm worried a little bit for football, or amateur football especially, because those type of people, I don't know where they are. Like, I'm even thinking about myself. Like, when I give up playing and managing, will I do that for Wayside? I don't know if I could do that. You know what I mean?
They're the dying breed, as you say. Like, unfortunately, as you said before, with two lads behind you there, Monty and Don Larnell, they're the club men, and they missed that. Totally missed around the club. Anytime you come in here, they always have a joke, and I said, Monty was slagging people. Like, as I said about Luke Dunhill, everyone calls him Biscuits, because he used to come in and ask Monty for biscuits. You go, where are you? That name stuck in that, and Monty's gone. That name is still there. You know?
Look, these are the people that have the clubs in these positions. As you said, you felt it more so, obviously, for the players yourself, but more so for the people around the club.
Definitely, 100%.
And it's these people that are just on the sideline all the time, or in the clubhouse with that team's jacket on, and they're just there 24/7 for the club.
You realise, though,
they're needed.
Cleaning the dressing room afterwards and all this. You come in next day, it's spotless. Or next time it's spotless. It's like, it wasn't magically clean. Like, someone has to go and do that. Like, so you forget that.
You only realise that, I think, the older you get, and you start thinking about things like that. Like, the lads don't, like, I wouldn't have realised that at 25, 26, that I was coming up and there was sandwiches there for you, and as you said, the dressing room and all is clean. You never understood that. Like, the lads, obviously, when we were last at Glebe, Sailor, the older man, give me a stick now. He's been in the club years. His two sons played for the club, unbelievable players. But he went, after the Glebe game, he went straight to Wayside and put the gear on to be washed. And that's at 11:30, 12 at night. And he's devastated that we're beaten, and everyone else going home, we're feeling sorry for ourselves and all. But he's thinking, they're playing on Tuesday, you need the gear washed. Do you know what I mean?
Brilliant.
I don't know where those people are anymore, if they do, if they are going to exist.
You're right, because I'm kind of thinking now of even clubs that I've been in myself, and even say down at the likes of Tolka and over at Crumlin and all that. They're older people, like, of a generation that are still doing these things. And even now, when you mention, say, Monty and Don gone from up here at Finglas Night, you're kind of looking, and it's the next era down from then. Now, look, listen, everyone still does a great job, I'm sure, in every other club, but you're kind of going, Jesus, they're not like the old stock. Like, are we going to be able to develop into the old stock and be there for the club? And it is a worrying sign for things like that.
Because I'm thinking myself, I'm a club man. I love Wayside. I do anything for them. But would I be washing the gear at 11:15 at night, 12:15 at night? I can't see myself.
We wouldn't even watch a play at 11:15.
But you know what? Isn't there a role for everyone? Isn't there like you're the manager? Yeah, obviously. I don't know. You'll tell us, but coaching wise or whatever, you have a coach, you have assistant managers. You've someone that marks the pitch. You've someone that fills the water bottles. You've sailor that goes and washes the gear at 12 o'clock at night because you have a game Tuesday. Like you have to count your blessings for these people around the club, like because it's an unappreciated job, I think, when especially with amateur football and nobody's being paid. Yeah. Like people coming up, setting up the nets, marking the pitch, as you say, cleaning the dressing rooms. It's a massive thing.
Especially the weather that we have over here. Like it's a lot of stress on people like that to get the pitch ready. Like just sometimes going down to the referee at 11 o'clock. You'd have people out at like 6, 7 o'clock the night before trying to get the thing ready for the match. Like. Yeah. And then if that match is called, the pitch is called off, then you're like, oh geez, why aren't you? It's probably still got a bit of stick. The pitch is in bits and all. Yeah. And he's walking his arse off.
Yeah. Oh, look, the players are always going. They're going to give out about tracksuits. They're going to give out about the pitch. Look, I was the exact same. Still am.
So,
we'll take it back to. I was going to say to Joey's there, boy. You probably out me there.
Well, look, it's Joey's to everyone else. It's always been Joe's to me, and like that's what I said earlier. Since it was Saturday morning program. It's academy now, whatever it was, 5 to 8 year olds, before you actually went to normal football or organised football. That's where I was at. My dad and my uncle were involved in that. They ran it, so it was just that was always what I was going to do. I was going to go to Joe's, and I was literally there from 4 till 18, and like there was probably times in it maybe I should have left, but I didn't. Again, like loyalty is a massive thing for me. Do you know what I mean? If I'm looked after and I feel comfortable somewhere, I'm going to stay.
They're the only 2 clubs?
3 clubs.
Bray. I went from Joe's to Bray, and then I had I had 4 months in Dalkey and a year in Greystones, and then Wayside, and that was it. So
you stuck it out. But so your schoolboy career though, you're talking there, we're the same age there, but you couldn't never.
I don't know if we crossed paths. What happened with me anyway was when the age changed, it killed me basically. We went from, I think we were 11 aside. No, we weren't. We were 7 aside. No, we weren't. We were 11.
We can't remember playing 7 aside.
Yeah, we played 7 aside for 1 year.
Very posh out there. Get 7 aside.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I just remember going straight 11 aside.
Yeah. No, we had 7 aside for 1 year, and then we went 11 aside under 11s, and then that was when the year changed. So I think it was September. So anyone born in the first 9 months of the year was on a certain team, and then it wasn't in 3 months, but it changed to a calendar year anyway. And I was born on Christmas Eve, so I ended up playing, I suppose, against lads who were born in January of that year, so essentially a year older than me, and I was small, light, all that sort of stuff, and it killed me. I ended up being dropped off the first team onto the second team, and I was there for so 4 or 5
literally
years.
Only a couple of weeks from playing a year under
8 days literally. And the same thing happened with Paddy Kavanagh. I'm nearly sure he's the 29th of December, because the two of us, the 7 aside, we are great together, and we always kind of watched how he got on in his career and that. And I think it was 13s or 14s he was dropped as well. And again, it wasn't dropped because he wasn't good enough. He was dropped because he wasn't tall enough or strong enough. Do you know what I mean? The career he ended up having. So that killed the two of us, and it probably killed me a little bit more because confidence and all went at that stage, Do
you know the strange thing is though, obviously the development of football, and they're trying to bring in the passing out, and so the smaller players, more technical players. Yeah. I still think the smaller technical players still be pushed to the side though, because they're seen as they're not strong enough.
Definitely.
And like it's terrible. That's why they brought in the non-competitive stuff. Yeah. So the players like them will develop into players, and more time be put into them. But I still think though a lot of players would end up saying, like, unless they're exceptionally good, I still think then they'll go for the best, some that's a little bit stronger, which is terrible to see though.
It is. And look,
what's that, 20 years later? Like,
exactly. I coached now in Joe's as well for a few years, maybe 5-6 years, and I was always conscious of the little fella, because that was me. And I was always like, put him centre midfield, and like
brilliant.
Everyone else was looking at me going, why is he playing centre midfield? Like, they're running all over him. I was like, yeah, but like
he needs to learn.
Give him the chance. Let him progress.
I think it is changed a little bit in Ireland. I think they're trying more so to give the more technical lads a chance, and even the way like the 17s and 19s Ireland teams play, it's not the way that they used to play. They try and play a little bit more football, but I suppose it comes to the senior team then, and depending on the manager, they're asked to play a totally different way, you know, and it's difficult. So yeah, but yeah, I think 13s, 14s, 15s, I was still playing, but probably mentally I was shot, you know what I mean? And it was only my dad was Bray coach for years, probably 20 years. He was Bray first team coach, and I think my ma made him take over our team because she knew that I loved football, but I just mentally I wasn't enjoying it, obviously, do you know what I mean? And he took over my team, and he
made you captain.
He actually did make me captain, to be honest with you.
Corners, throws, goal kicks.
Keep them all happy.
Taking the penalties, taking the free kicks, taking the corners out. And, no, but he built me back up, and kind of from there, kind of went from strength to strength, and I ended up getting back into the first team. I think it was 17s or 18s now, but they actually made me go. I didn't want to go because I didn't want to go back to being a sub and not playing and that sort of stuff, but they just said, look, you can't be on this team anymore, you have to go and play. And I did, and obviously we loved it, and went to Bray from there. So
do you think though, if your dad didn't step in, though, would you give up the football at all? Or would you, what would have happened? I don't obviously can't tell, but
you're obviously a football family as well, a massive football family.
Absolute football family. Now I don't know if I would have kept playing though. I might have went into coaching earlier than I did, but I know at that stage he saved me, and for want of a better expression, because I just wouldn't have played to the level I got to, definitely, if he didn't take over at that stage.
Yeah, fair play to him. Yeah, very good.
Yeah, I think it must have been my ma's influence though. He's saying you've done stuff for loads of other kids still.
Yeah, sure enough though. So you went from Joey's, you have me saying it now, into Bray, and how did you find the step up, or was it?
Loved Bray. Like, again, because my dad was involved, I would have, I suppose, normally followed them. Obviously wanted them to do well. We kind of more so followed Shells because my granddad followed Shells, but when my dad was at Bray, obviously looking to see how they got on, and I always wanted to play for them then, and I think I was there for 4 years. Loved it. Like,
did you go into the like 21s? It would have been.
Yeah,
then
it was done at 21s at that stage. There was no 17s, 19s, so we went from 18s to 21s. I think you would have played for UCD at that time. Yeah. So we had a really good side, like a really, really good side. We won the FAI Cup, or I think it's called the N McGill Cup. We won that once, beaten in the final another time. So we had a quality team for that age group. You know, that the age up from me and Joe's was a really good side as well. So kind of the mix between the two.
Of them, yeah.
We were always thereabouts for leagues and cups and that, you know. So did really well. The disappointing thing for me and for Bray was that, I'd say, the last year I was there, I would have been 22. I think everyone who won that 21s Cup was gone at that stage.
Right.
So there was always a pathway between Bray and Joe's and into the first team, but for that period, for some reason, it just didn't materialise, you know. And I think there was a little bit more money in the club at that stage, and they had a few kind of bigger names in League of Ireland terms. Like, there was like Clive Delaney was there, he'd come from Derry. Alan Cawley was there, he was being with Shells and a few others, and I know they were getting good money for Bray anyway, do you know what I mean? And so I think that blocked a few people from getting through. No, I'm not saying myself, but other lads who were good.
No, what happens, I think they'd be blinded, don't they? And it works in all levels of football. If they have a certain criteria player there, some of them don't look back. Surely they don't look back to the youth, and they just don't think, they think of the present time. And where if they had nurtured that team that you said just had, like, it's look, it can go business it can go, exactly. It, look, it can go both ways.
You can take the gamble. Something take the gamble and can walk off. But if you take that gamble, it doesn't walk off. You're looking for another job the next day.
Oh, absolutely.
From the manager's perspective, he's saying, look, he has this budget. Is he going to use it on new players where he just doesn't know what's going to happen, or is he going to say, well, look at the likes of these lads who've been in the league for a long time, we know they're going to give us a certain standard? And that's probably what he was saying. It was Eddie Gormley who ended up being the manager. That was his first job. He probably was saying, I'm not risking my reputation on 100%. And I can see why he's done that.
Of course, as a manager's perspective, like and usually Bray's objective is to stay in the top division. 100%, that's their main objective year in, year out when they're there, is to stay in the top division. So
you did. You had a good couple of years there, and then you messed around with a couple of teams then before.
Yeah, so I had
stepped away. So
basically,
did you play first team, Ross?
I played one game for the first team. Yeah,
probably FAI Cup, was it?
No, it was a league game. It was a funny thing. Pat Devlin was actually the manager at the time, and it was the transfer window, I think, is the 1st of July. I think it was the 1st of July. And I came on in the game 4 or 5 minutes. We were 3-0 down to Drogheda. I think Drogheda were the best team in the league at that time. 3-0 down, came on. Looked like I had a few touches of the ball, that was it. The next day, played for the 21s and we won 2-1. And I scored one and made one. So I was thinking,
definitely.
I have a chance to be in the squad here. But Pat actually stepped away then. He went and became the Ireland B team manager under Steve Staunton at that time. And we had a new manager. Now, the new manager was the assistant manager, so he would have known me and all, but the transfer window opened and he ended up signing 3, 4, 5 players. And I don't think I got back into a squad that year. And I was disgusted, to be honest with you. Do you know what I mean? Because I kept doing well for the 21s, and like, because my dad was there as well, I'd never step out of line. Do you know what I mean? Because I didn't want to reflect on him either. Do you know what I mean? Now, it's not my personality either. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't be a bad egger like that. But never got another chance really that season. The season after, I think Eddie came in then, and he asked me to stay. Like, that was my 3 years up at the 21s. So he asked me to stay at the end of the season. So I was thinking, like, I'm going to be in the first team. And I was in the squad, played pre-season a few games, did all right in pre-season, and for whatever reason, never really got a chance during the season.
That Eddie Wallace that came in, was it?
Eddie Wallace was there. Was he there he was there the last year. It was Eddie Gormley was the manager, but Eddie Wallace was involved. Yeah,
he's a good character.
He's a great fella.
He's a good man.
Yeah, and good, like, he's spotting talent. You know what I mean? Youth players. I always worked with youth players. So, there was loads of good people around the club. Do you know what I mean? But for me, I just never got a chance, and I didn't think it was a waste of a year for me, because I was playing and training with quality players, and like Keith Long was the assistant manager, and his training was really good. He obviously went on to be the Bowls manager, and he's a Waterford manager now. So I didn't feel like I wasted a year. What I'm telling other lads now, that 19s, when I'm trying to sign them, is, you're going to waste your year.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was a waste of a year for me.
Like what Chandler said last week, you have to tell little white lions to get them over the line.
What was your kind of thinking of the whole structure of the League of Ireland and stuff when you've been involved in, like?
Yeah, I've always loved the League of Ireland. You know what I mean? It's gone from strength to strength. Like my granddad, as I said before, was a big Shells fan. If you asked him who he followed, it'd be Shells. It wouldn't be Manchester United or Liverpool or anything like that. It'd be always Shells. So for me, my childhood was going to Talca Park every second week, and
you got the glory days then. Back then,
they were an unbelievable team. To be fair to them, and like, it never mattered to me. I know people say now you have to get facilities and Tala Stadium and all this sort of stuff. It never mattered to me that I came home wet or dirty. Do you know what I mean? And that was at 10 or 12. Now again, we're a football family. Do you know what I mean? That was always it, but I think sometimes it's just excuses from people that, you know, there's no facilities there, blah, blah, blah. But there was never facilities, do you know what I mean? And people still went. So I think at the moment it's gone from strength to strength, the League of Ireland. And it's great to see. I don't necessarily think the standard is as good as it was back then. Because it was, I think, obviously there is experienced players in the league now, but I think back then it was proper men's football. Do you know what I mean? It was win at all costs. Do you know what I mean? And like that, I loved it. Do you know what I mean?
It's kind of gone now, that sort of football.
It is a little bit.
Even in the amateur game, like I went down and watches yesterday against Crumlin, and it's probably actually I think it's the first senior Sunday game I actually got a chance to go out and watch this year. Yeah, and it's definitely changed big time. Even to when people have played against each other and things in the league, like we're talking probably, I don't know, maybe when I was in the league, probably 3 years ago anyway, maybe. Yeah. Completely different. Yeah, it's definitely
it's more technical, and I think people don't want to tackle and like head the ball and all stuff like that. Like, and I was never a big tackler, never a big header, so I don't want people to think that I was. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've seen you playing, you never held the ball, but my teammates did. You know what I mean? So,
I've seen some do it.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, it's definitely changed, and look, that's probably the influence from the 17s and 19s League of Ireland. You know what I mean?
I think that has definitely changed it.
Yeah, they're more technical. They expect different things, and
it's probably been a bit of a dampener, hasn't it? Probably going into that League of Ireland at that age group. I think it starts at 15s now, does it?
Yeah.
It goes 15, 16, or there's a break at 16s, then it goes to 17s or something weird like that. But the type of players that, when I was kind of coming to the end at Crumlin, I noticed there's young lads coming through now, technically, talent, unbelievably like brilliant, but not a dog in any of them for hunting down, going into a strong tackle, no aggression, not showing passion.
Yeah.
Like, so it's probably at the development now, and the years that it came in, it's probably at the taking them few years, them steps to when it did. I pushed on, and it came probably 3-4 years after that. Then that's where the transition came.
I think aggression, that's spot on. There's no aggression in them at all anymore, and I don't want to say that they don't care about winning, but I think in the 15s, 17s and 19s there really isn't an emphasis on winning. And maybe there shouldn't be, do you know what I mean? But sometimes the lads are coming to me then at 19 and 20, and I nearly have to say to them, forget what you've learned over the last year. You're going to learn something completely different now next year.
You're in a new game here now.
It's nearly a different sport, like, do you know what I mean? And I don't want to degrade our standard of football by saying that, but like, you have to win the battle first before you win the war, do you know what I mean? And sometimes they're just not interested in the battle, do you know? And this is all lads. It's not Wayside players or Crumlin players or Bangor players, whatever it is. It's all the lads who have come from that environment, I think, and they've been told, as I said earlier on, they're elite players. Well, look, you need to work before you're an elite player.
I think I said before, I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. I think it's going to be a conveyor belt
this is it.
Of flamboyant players, or whatever way you want to call it.
Same type of player as well, isn't it? Like, time and time again, and a little bit robotic, I'd say, the way I seen Bray playing probably 8 or 9 times last year because my dad was involved, and I was hoping to get a couple of players then as well. They played lovely football, like really nice football, really nice on the eye. We've probably played them nearly 3 times a year since my dad was involved there, and I'd say we've beaten them 7 out of 8 times. Now, every game they played the better football. They looked better. They probably had the better chances and all. But we said to our lads, like, at some stage in this game, you're going to have a chance to go to run all over them. Do you know what I mean? For 10 minutes. We were 2-0 down against them in the match. Now, again, matches don't really mean it, and no one cares if it wins or loses in the pre-season friendly, but we were 2-0 down at half time. They should have been 6 or 7 up. And 15 minutes in the second half, we were 3-2 up because they didn't take their chances. And then the second half, we made a few changes and just running and tackling, and do you know what I mean? Stuff that they're not used to. And they don't not work hard. I don't mean that, do you know what I mean? But our lads they want to work hard. They want to tackle. They want to head the ball. They want to get in people's faces, even if it is a friendly. And that makes a difference, do you know what I mean?
Massively.
So I don't know. I think the structure in the League of Ireland is really good to bring people into League of Ireland. I don't think it's so good to bring them into the Leinster Senior League. I think there's a lot of work to do with players when they actually come to you. You know?
This episode is brought to you by Eco Pro Power Flushing. Is your heating system not working as efficiently as it used to? If so, then it might be time that you get yourself an Eco Pro Power Flush. Eco Pro are one of the most trusted experts in power flushing and also offer other services such as boiler fitting, lime scale removal, and reverse osmosis. They'll rid your system of any sludge, rust, or debris and will have your home heating system working to its full capacity. For a warmer home, call on 085 831 6372 or contact them via Instagram or Facebook at ecopro_power flushing.
So we take it back to the Amja game then, So what brought you to Wayside? What attracted you?
So I was with Greystones for a year then. I was Docky for 4 months. Matt Brinton was the manager of Docky. I played with him in Bray. He basically made me sign for Docky for the 4 months till the end of the season, and I loved it, to be fair. The lads down there were sound. I think it was senior 1. We probably should have got promoted. I think we ended up finishing 3rd that year. But the team went then. They went bust completely. Matt went to Arklow. Arklow for me was too far away, so I wasn't going to Arklow. I ended up going to Greystones from them there because Will Clark, he's probably know Will, he's involved with the FEI now. He was my coach in Bray for a period, and he was going down to Greystones, so he said, do you want to come down? So I said, yeah.
What league of Greystones?
They were in the top division.
Top division.
Yeah, so we had a year there. We actually got relegated from the top league. Now, I couldn't believe we got relegated. The players that we had that year, who all went on to do good things, but just for some reason didn't click for us that year, do you know what I mean? And
it's a tough league, isn't it? It's a tough, like, it really is. Like, even though there are teams that I've seen over the years, even like that go out and beat you, like over at Crumlin, but would be like last place, but like could technically physically mix it with you every game. And they seem to raise their games actually when they play the better
Definitely,
teams.
yeah.
Teams
Once
down
the
bottom.
momentum goes against you, it's so hard to
Yeah,
get back. And
it's
even
tough.
speaking to the Glebe manager Darius before our match, they got relegated last year, and for me, they were definitely in the top 4 teams we played last year.
Really, yeah.
And I think we played them with 7-8 games to go, and I said to our lads, if they beat us today, I wouldn't be surprised if they win the league. Just because the momentum and just the way they play and all, I was always really impressed. We beat them 2-1 that night, and I think they lost 7 of the last 8 and got relegated. And it's just a momentum thing. It's so hard to address it sometimes, and they're really good players. I think he's probably the best coach in amateur football at the moment. I think he's brilliant, and you just couldn't rest that, momentum, and that was it. And maybe not as the same at Greystones with us. We probably weren't as good as that Glebe team, but for me, we never should have went down. And when we did go down, a couple of lads left, and again, like, I am really loyal, and I went back training that year, and like, I was going to stay, to be honest with you, but I was coaching for the FEI at the time, doing the summer camps, and the summer camp was in Wayside, and I was up doing the camp, and P came up, and he's just like, oh, why don't you come up? And I spoke to him a few times that week, and he said, just come up on Tuesday, and came up on the Tuesday, and my mind was made up after 20 minutes. Now, the training, it wasn't amazing. I just got the feeling, do you know what I mean? I just got the feeling from him, from the place, from the other players and that, and from that moment on, I never wanted to leave. Now, I could have left a few times in the 15 years since then, but I just didn't never wanted to, And we've had success, we've had failures, but for me, I as I said earlier, I would never work for anyone else now. They're my team,
How long was Pete in charge for?
He was in charge for like 27 or 28 years.
That's unbelievable, isn't it?
And like, I say, after about 3 months of me being in the job, I said to him, how did you do it for 27, 28 years? I couldn't, like, just the problems, like, the stuff that you don't
It's a full-time job, isn't it?
It is a full-time job, yeah. Now, probably the first year I'd say was the most difficult for that in terms of the eye-opening stuff. And like, I was the captain previously, and I'd gone from, the lads saying, why am I playing? It's like, you should be playing, like, you're doing great in training, all this sort of stuff, to being the one who's leaving them out, you know what I mean? And
you had to kind of go back in your words, not so much, but you had to say,
there's a few of them that, like, were in the second team, and I was like, look, I would have you in the first team, and I did bring them back into the first team, do you know what I mean? But there's other lads that, I'd say were my best friends up there, and lads who would invite my wedding and that, and end up having to, like, drop them out of the squad and out of the team. I was like, it's not personal. Like, like, if I'm picking the team on who I like the most, you'd be in it. But
and how did you find that? Like, was it like, do this? Or we just like this for the best of the team? Like, it's for the benefit of the team.
There was probably a little bit of both at the start. I was just like, like, I remember we beat.
Think with your head, not with your heart.
That has to be. We beat Eden Derry. We were struggling a little bit at the start, but we beat Eden Derry down there. I think we beat them 4-1 or something like that. And I changed the team around. We were coming back on the bus, and like, lads were buzzing and all, and I'd left out 4 lads that I really like probably the lads we got on with the most, and like,
with playing wise,
and like, being friends with them for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and I come back on the bus, and like, I was obviously delighted with the win, but at the same time, I was like, I'm after ruining those 4 lads weekend. I know that I have,
the
because
feeling.
I left them out, and the feeling and that, and like, all the way home, I was in a terrible humour. Like, I came home and the miss, like, well, the one like 4-1, and I was like, yeah, I know, but I'm after ruined every weekend. And that was part of me, I think obviously the longer you do it, the more immune you get to that. But like, even the semi-finals and that,
it's a good word, immune, to use there instead of what's the word I'm looking for? Ruthless.
Yeah. That's it. And to be fair, that was something that I said the first year was myself and Kenny Simpson was the assistant manager. And I said after it, I haven't been ruthless enough this year. I know I haven't. I said I need a little bit more experience in, because the two of us we'd just gone from playing into being the managers and that, and we knew at parts of the season, like, we've done the wrong things and that we got someone else in, JP, who's there at the moment as well, and he'd been with Cabinteely 19s, and he had a lot of experience coaching, knew a lot of players and that, and he is ruthless, do you know what I mean? He'd be like, no, look, he needs to be left out, he didn't do this or he didn't do that. And just having that bit of confidence that you're doing the right thing, then I was able to, a little bit more this year and the last year, just to say, look, now you should be left out, or should not be in the squad this week, or whatever it is. So
yeah, very good. So your first year, how did that go in Wayside?
So the first year managing,
playing.
The first year, actually, it's funny. I listened to Tony Griffiths, I listened to James Lee, and I listened to Dean Kelly. They don't mention that we beat them in the cup final that year. So I think they won 4 things that year. They definitely won the league, definitely won the intermediate. I'm nearly sure they won the Charlie and the Metro. But for 2 or 3 years, the Noel Ryan Cup was a senior cup. And
along with them, so there was 5 cups to go
there was
for.
5 cups, and I think Noel Ryan was a Crumlin man. I think they introduced it. Really sure the finals in Armagh Road now. It's a second team.
Yeah,
cup.
it's a junior cup now, isn't it? For
yeah.
the junior team,
But I think for 3 years it was a senior cup, and they got, it was Crumlin Wayside and Noel Ryan final.
Was it? Yeah.
G-Core, yeah.
Did you not mention that, then, lads? No,
one,
you're right. You're right.
Yeah, and it's funny because like my uncle watched Wayside. He watched all Leinster Senior League teams. He always said to me after a couple of years, "What's Pete Lennon's secret? Like, how has he been so successful over the years?" And I was like, I don't really know, to be honest with you. Like really good manager, really good person and all. And we were playing that game and we were training. I think it was a Tuesday game. We were training on Sunday and trained away and brought us in. He's like, "Look, we're going to play 3-5-2 this week or on Tuesday." Hadn't played it all season. So I was like, grand. Like, obviously he's going to do a bit of shape now. And I was like, see us on Tuesday.
That was it.
So doing the warm-up, he never announced the team until after the warm-up. Now you'd get the odd feeling like if you start ignoring it, you know, you're out of the team. Do you know what I mean? But the warm-up happened and all, everyone's comes in. He leaves out. We played 2 lads up front for the whole season. They scored a load of goals. He leaves one of them out. Just he hadn't been told. He was left out. Blah blah. Anyway, first half starts. Crumlin, as you expected, have all the ball. Not really many chances. Our keeper made one really good save. 0-0 at half time. Half time, he says, "Look, you're going to get one chance here. When it comes along, make sure you take it." The lad who hadn't been playing gets a chance 5 minutes in the second half, scores. We win the game 1-0.
Brilliant.
And I'm just like, maybe he's just a genius.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Now, all the logic was like,
it's like he planned it. He planned it.
And like, as that Crumlin team was amazing. It was unbelievable. And we limited them so much that night by just having the right formation. And look, we had winners in our team as well. Do you know what I mean? Lads who've won.
Well, look, you have a good would have had a good pedigree.
Yeah. Before
from
that.
history, Rise with Wayside leading into any of those games. I'm sure. Like
they always. I think Pete never lost a final until
you started playing.
We lost the final on penalties to Glebe the year after that, and that was the first time he lost in the final.
Really?
And that was like, he would have been in the job 20 years.
Yeah.
You know.
He actually sounds very similar to Martin, what you're at to explain there, because I had a conversation with someone. I think it might have been Chandler. My first year and I went over to Crumlin. I think we won the Charlie Cattle, but Chandler, I remember Chandler saying to me, like, what has Martin got that other managers don't have, like, and exactly like what you were saying about Pete in there. I had to say to them, like, I don't know. I honestly don't know what it has. Like, man management really good, squad rotation really good, timing of substitutions all really good, but like it's not a team talk. It's not a tactically or awareness or whatever it is. It's just like it just
training or anything.
Yeah, just doesn't do the training. Just has something, but you can't put your finger on it. What it is.
Yeah.
That can
and
just
I suppose
win all
experience as well.
Experience,
you know what I mean? And I remember the year after. Now, obviously, we won the cup. We won the Noel Ryan that year. The year after, we won the league, and Bluebell beat us. I'd say with 7 or 8 games to go. I think they might have went 12 points ahead. Now I think we had a couple of games in hand, but it was a big game. Do you know what I mean? And we came into the dressing room and like I was gutted. Do you know what I mean? But just how calm he was, and he was just saying, "Look, there's a long way to go here. We win our next game. We see what happens after that." We end up winning 7 of our last 8 to win the league. And
he knew it was going to happen. Yeah.
To be fair, he had players there, been there and done it. Like, I was one of the younger players in the team at the time, and you always think it's the end of the world when you lose a game. Do you know what I mean? And even for the week or so after that, he was down the dumps and all, but he was always real positive and just. I think that was the key to him. He said the right thing at the right time. Do you know what I mean? Rather than anything that we did on the training pitch or anything like that, you know. So I think that was the key to him. Do you know what I mean? He just got stuff like that right.
How were you playing then in the first 2 seasons of you? You won the Noel Ryan in the first, and then won the league in the second.
Yeah. So
how were you playing yourself? Like
the second year that we won the league, I think I scored 17 or 18 goals myself, and I had more than that in assists. It was an
Where
easy
were you playing?
I was playing wide right or wide left. So no, it was never had any pace, but penalties, free
No
kicks.
pace, no height, then he has some clear.
Yeah, did all right.
Yeah, didn't do too bad for
Doesn't tackle, doesn't head the ball.
The other lads did that stuff.
Scoring goals, I think that'll do.
Now that year was probably a year for me that I hit a purple patch, you know what I mean, and everything I hit ended up going in, and yeah, it would have been 17, 18 goals. Now we won.
That's some going, isn't it? Like, I'm from the wing, like.
Yeah. Now we won the Noel Ryan that year again. We were beaten in a cup final that year. We won the Tommy Clements that year as well. And you know, we probably didn't get the credit we deserved at that time. Now we never cared. Do you know what I mean?
It's
medals were in the
good,
back
isn't
pocket,
it?
do you know
Yeah,
what I
it's
mean?
good for the people. Keep it quiet.
Yeah, exactly. Now starting off that season, we won the Tommy Clements, and that was a great tournament. Then, do you know what I mean?
Tournament.
It was
Brilliant.
It really kind of focused. Now, again, this is another thing, Pete. Our first training session was a Tommy Clements match. We never trained before it. We just went straight into the
Very
tournament.
good, yeah.
Great
played.
idea, great idea. I think a lot of clubs use that as the pre-season.
yeah,
I think
it
it's a
was.
fantastic
You
way
get about
to
3
use it.
games in the wouldn't you?
At least 3, because it's a group stage.
Yeah. And after winning that, we just got momentum built. I think actually Talca beat us in February, our first defeat of the season. Away to Talca it was. Now they beat us 2-0, they beat us well. And I'll never forget, they were playing poker face in the dressing room after, and for the rest of the season, a couple of lads were like, remember poker face, remember that feeling. So
Poker face.
yeah, just remember, just funny the way you just
remember
every time
it,
I go to Talca now, I always think of poker face, like just there. So I think we lost in February that year to Talca, 2-0 out there. I think Crockett scored. He thinks he scored every game against us. He even scored. Ballymun beat us there in the Charlie Cattle, and he
That's
scored
right.
2.
He came on and scored. Yeah.
He had 5 kicks to the ball, scored 2, and he could have got another one, just because he's always in the right place.
Scored the weekend as well. He did.
Did he,
Yeah. Just a little popped up in the. Actually, front post header.
Yeah.
Flicked on, yeah. From a corner.
Unbelievable.
Just his brain, even obviously he's getting on now, but his brain, even at that age, this was 13, 14 years ago, so he could do everything. His body could do everything as well, do you know what I mean? But his brain at that
His
stage,
intelligence,
I think it was
comes
a chip
natural
now,
to
if I
him.
can remember it, like lobbed the keeper. So we had an unbelievable year that year. We lost to Glebe actually on penalties in Charlie Cattle Cup final. I missed. So
You missed one out there, so
yeah, I definitely missed one out there. I'm just having flashbacks. But I missed a few penalties growing up, and went to Bray and never took a penalty at Bray. Actually, I took one in the shootout because I think it was 8-7 or something at the time.
You
so
had to take it.
Had to take one. And then I went to Wayside, and we were 1 down in Ring Mahon, and we got a penalty in the last minute down there.
Intermediate.
Captain came over, pushed the ball into my stomach. You were taking it. I was like, all right, like I probably missed 5 of my last 6 penalties.
Stop.
But I scored, and then from then on, I think I scored 7 or 8 penalties that season. Now I did miss in the cup final, but I probably missed 1 every 7 or 8 after that, so I was happy enough with that. You know what I mean? But
Not a bad record to have.
it was good. Yeah.
So what players is in the squad around then?
So the players then we would have had Damien O'Neill, Wayne Callan,
Centre half, them, yeah, 2 towers.
2 like absolute just winners. Do you know what I mean? I heard Dean Kelly saying pick your strong players basically in the back, solid players. These 2 just no interest in playing football. They just want to keep clean sheets, want to head the ball, kick the ball, tackle, organise the defence. They were unbelievable, the 2 of them. Actually, Deo he was centre half for years, and the year that we won the league, he put him up front for the last 8 or 9 games. He must have scored 7 or 8 goals in that time. Headers. Just because in both boxes he was unbelievable, and I was playing on the wing. He's just like, just get the ball into the box. It doesn't even have to be a good ball, because he was
put it in anywhere.
Yeah, he was going to win it. So again, just winners, them 2. With Ray Whelan, obviously he's an unbelievable player at amateur level. I think people talk about him on the podcast previously.
Do you think he was underrated or Ray or?
I think so. From what I've heard of people talking about Ray, I know how good Ray is because I've played against him, and he was probably one of the toughest players I played against. Definitely up there in the top, probably 2 or 3 toughest centre midfielders when I played midfield, because he was so fit. But I think he was underrated in football terms as well, because he could play, Ray. He could definitely play.
Because I'm from the AWL kind of sort of things. Lennon Scene would be my forte, as you would say. But people say all he does is hooks around the corner. That's all he does, hooks around the corner.
Do you know how hard that is?
He runs after it though.
Yeah, he gets it.
But that's and his engine. That's all he has. And people saying him. Then I think I played against him for Verona. I was playing out there, and I was like, this this cunt's online to me.
Yeah, he's much better.
Yeah, he's much better than what they're
And you
saying.
could play anywhere. You
Yeah.
could play him anywhere. You really could.
Yeah, he's really good.
He was brilliant.
How did that go? Because Ray's not from over that way.
No,
I used to
from
always.
Malahide direction.
Oh yeah, when I seen Ray over at Wayside, I would have played against at Wayside, and I knew he was from over at the Malahide kind of direction, Coolock or wherever it may be, Swords or wherever that is over that way. But I used to always say, how did he end up over in Wayside? Like, what makes him go over and sign for Wayside?
There wasn't any money going around us there.
There definitely wasn't money. There definitely wasn't money. But he, I think Pete was the manager of the LSL team, and Ray obviously got into the team, and they got to know each other from then. Because
he would have left Tolka
at
that stage to go to Wayside, wouldn't he?
He would have.
Or Malahide, wherever.
And he was there. He was there the year before I was there, so I don't know exactly how it worked, but definitely Pete was the LSL manager. I don't know if he used it as much as he would have liked to his benefit, as other managers have done.
Or other managers are doing.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to say that. But look, you have to do it.
You have to do what you have to do. If you're a LSL manager, you do what you have to do.
He definitely was
I
that
do
for
the same
years.
myself.
Yeah. So I think that's how Ray ended up coming to Wayside. And again, he loved the club. You know, eventually the travel got too much for him, and he went back and played for Malahide, I think, for a couple of years. But amazing player, great fella. He hated missing training, but he had to miss training sometimes for the travel and stuff like that. But no one ever cared, because
he's literally at one end of the
business.
M50 to the other, isn't he?
Yeah. But he was doing the business every week for us. You know, it wasn't a case that he was brutal and he's still coming.
He's not putting the effort in or whatever. He's probably one of the fittest people on the pitch.
He was brilliant. Other players we had: John O'Neill, Caleb Murray. Caleb, for me, probably the most underrated player that I played with. He played centre midfielder. Again, just so fit, ran, tackled. He got, probably later in his career, got lots of goals with his head from being the right place, the right time. But again, someone that I would have hated to play against. Like, him and Ray played in midfield together a lot, and like, they just ran all over the pitch. Like, there probably wasn't much structure to it, but like, they just run you ragged. Do you know what I mean? Eventually, you'd be just like, where are these lads going? Do you know what I mean? And even me playing wide, they weren't necessarily the best two lads to play in midfield to like open out and get you the ball, but they would work so hard that like they left you space. Do you know what I mean? I could tuck in and get the ball. Then, do you know what I mean? So Caleb, for me, unbelievable player. John O'Neill, technically just a freak. Do you know what I mean? If you ask any of the lads who played in Wayside, the most talented player I'd say we've ever had up there, just could do anything with the ball. Now, he beat you 4 times and he still want to beat you for a 5th time. You know
one of them.
One of them. And you'd ask him how you got on the match, like 3 nutmegs.
That's what he's counting on.
He wouldn't tell you got 2 goals. 3 nutmegs, you know what I mean? But unbelievable player as well.
Were the sailors well and finished by the time you got in, obviously?
Wayne and Ian. Wayne played at the back and Ian played up front. I played with Ian for probably 1.5 or 2 years now. They're probably the last years of his career, but he's the best player that's ever played for Wayside. If you ask anyone up there, like, ask Pete, best player he's ever managed, it'll be Ian. And that's Sailor Senior is the kit man. Do you know what I mean? There's a family club, you know. But Ian, even at 34, 35, 36, whatever it was when I was playing with him, his head was just ahead of people. Do you know what I mean? He'd buy free kicks, he'd nick goals, he'd do all that sort of stuff. And I think Jerry Smith was the Ireland manager at the time. Ian could have went missing for Wayside for 6 weeks and he'd be in the international team because he knows what he was going to do for him. Do you know what I mean? So
you know what he'd give him.
Amazing player. And that probably a couple of years before me, they just won everything. They won the intermediate, they won league after league, they won all the domestic cups and that, and that kind of legacy, I think it probably weighed hard on some of the players that came after that, because anytime you were going anywhere, you were Wayside and you had the baggage of all that success.
You were expected to succeed.
Look, to be fair, we weren't as good as them, and that was the bottom line. Do you know what I mean? So,
but still were successful in
we still
plenty of times. I looked at I think it might have been whether it was the Metro or the Charlie, but when you had it in the pub looking at it, just look at that, and you scroll back and Wayside, Crumlin, Bluebell, Wayside. He's always there. Then you go back for the likes of Cherry Horse and all, but the name was there. So the pedigree and that winning DNA is obviously still kind
We
of
need
there
to
in
get
the
it
club,
back.
you know.
That's the thing, and we've probably gone the opposite way now. Lads are probably expecting not to win things, and we're trying our best now to kind of bring it back and get a few lads in and that, you know. And obviously 2 semi-finals this year and a quarter-final, which is disappointing not to get to a final when you've won
Semis
so
of the
many games.
Metro, you've got to
Semis of the Metro,
Inchicore, did
Inchicore,
Inchicore,
and that was probably the one that hurt the most. Not because it was Inchicore, because we knew all about them. We always do our homework on teams and knew their players, knew they were going to play and all that sort of stuff. But we just never turned up. That we were actually lucky to force the game to extra time that night, and in extra time we were thinking then, you know, we're gonna go on and win it. We scored the last kick of the game. We're thinking, look, we're gonna go on and win it here, but we just didn't do the basics right on the night. And again, it wasn't that we lost to a team in a lower league or anything like that. We have utmost respect for everyone that we played, and I actually think, in general, the 4 leagues, the standards diluted out. It's not as if the top league is unbelievably strong and much better than everything else. I think, look at teams in your own league, definitely can beat teams in our league. Teams in Senior 1 can definitely beat teams in Senior. Do you know what I mean? 100%.
Judging by playing in the league that we're in now with English United, two off the top. And after playing in the top league and kind of watching and knowing the feel for football and knowing your amateur football, it does not a million miles away from the top to.
We were talking about that, weren't we, there last week?
There's
that they're kind of quite close to.
Yeah.
Maybe the top has that a little bit more.
Probably a bit more that technically, probably a little bit
Fitness
better,
wise or sharpness wise,
maybe.
yeah.
But it's definitely not a million miles away.
Yeah, no, it's not, and I just think probably it's a generation thing as well, that lads actually prefer to play now with their own mates. If they're
local
if
lads,
they're in Senior
a lot
1 or
like that
1A
now.
or 1B, whatever it is, they'd rather do that than go and say, even me coming to them and saying, look, we're in the Senior League, do you want to come play? No, look, I'd rather play in 1A with my mates and that. And I've a lot of time for that as well.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
you can only admire it. Their honesty to it, yeah,
100%. It's not like people are telling you tales or anything like that. You know, like again, the odd player I've spoken to under 19s and he'd be saying, "What's the offer?" Like, you're winding me up. Like, I'm after seeing you playing for the last.
You're coming up here to pay €10 subs every week.
Yeah,
and
that's exactly it. That's the offer.
That's the offer.
We're gonna look after you when you get here. You're gonna play football at a good level, but that's the offer. Do you know what I mean?
Shut up in 10 V-Bucks, over you call them.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's what it is now. They're actually asking, aren't they? They're actually asking what's on the table.
Say if you have a player in the same leagues now, would you be an old school manager and go a bit of poaching there, or how would you approach them things?
Depends. I wouldn't. I try.
Like, don't give away our secrets now.
We very rarely sign anyone we don't know, to be honest with you, and that's just because I don't want to sign someone and he ends up being a bad egg and he poisons the dressing room. Pretty much everyone we've signed in the last 3 years, I've known them or I've known someone who's known them. Do you know what I mean? And even JP, the coach at the moment, he was with Cabinteely when a lot of kind of Leinster Senior League players were there. Do you know what I mean? So he has good contacts, even inside the league. Lads are playing in other places that he'd be able to say he's a top man. Like, he'd come in, he'll suit the lads and that. You know what I mean? There's a few lads, like I listen to John Scott on here as well, and you know, they'd rather go and get a few bob somewhere else and maybe be a bit part player, whatever it is. I can't help people like that, to be honest with you. If that's what they want, then go ahead.
100% they'll regret that when they get there, probably your age or the end of their career. They'll say, "Fuck, maybe I should have gave football a bit more."
And the same with the lads leaving 19s, 20s are all. The only thing that I say to them is that go and play somewhere. Like, if you don't play for me, look, I'm not going to fall out with you over it, but please go and play somewhere, because if you think you can go from 19s, 20s and take a year or 2 years off and then come back into our level, it doesn't happen. You can't. Once you lose that year or two, it's very hard to get back, you know, to the level that you should be playing at. So that my message for them would always be, just make sure you go and play. If you don't play for me, I don't mind. Like, I'd love you to play for me. I've seen you playing in most cases. I've probably done a little bit of homework, spoke to people who know them or coach them or that, you know. But if they don't come to me, that's fine. Do you know what I mean? I want to see them playing somewhere. And a few lads that I've spoken to since leaving Bray and teams like that do play in the league, and I'd always go over and shake their hand and say, look, I'm glad you're playing. Do you know what I mean? Because that's the bottom line. Like, you don't want to see lads leaving, playing for Pats 19s, Bray 19s, Shells 19s, and then they finish playing. it's such a waste, you know what I mean? Like, these are obviously talented lads, you know, and they've probably been a bit disillusioned with how League of Ireland has gone for them. And as I said before, you're coming down to me and I'm saying, you're going to have to pay us a tenner every week, or you're going to have to pay us X amount a month to play, but we'll look after you, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a tough one.
So we are second season, won the league. The momentum's gone well for you.
Yeah.
And how the third season go for
So
you?
the third season, we didn't win anything as far as I can remember. The third season, winning the league, I think, was the pinnacle for that actual group of players. The likes of Wayne and Deo, then they had begun then to not finish, but I think Deo might have finished. He might have played one more year. Wayne might have had a year or two left in him, but that team, that cycle was coming to the end, you know what I mean? And we had a couple of years of not winning anything. And then we won. We got the 2 cup finals, actually. I can't remember what year it is now, but we had the Charlie Cattle final and the Metro final. I think that was going to be Wayne's last. I think it was his last game, actually. But we lost the Charlie Cattle Cup final 3-0 to Fairhouse Clover. It was. We're 2-0 down after 5 minutes. Just never turned up. And then 2 weeks later, we had the Metro final and we won the Metro 3-2. And it's funny, and again, the stuff I always say to lads, in the lead up to the Charlie Cattle final, I'd say I lived like a footballer, like a professional footballer. I was sleeping right, I was eating right, did everything perfect. And I was shocking. I was terrible in the game. Now, I don't know if all the lads...
No, two into your head.
Exactly.
That's what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah. Two into your head. Play with your passion, or play with your heart. Like,
that's
Jimmy,
it, just do what got you to a finals, you know what I mean? And then 2 weeks later, we had Pat CY in the final. Now, I look after myself most of the time anyway, but I just did the normal things. Friday night, I always have a chipper. That's my thing.
You had it?
I had a chipper on the Friday. It was the match was Sunday. I think Saturday I went to see Bray against UCD. Normal things. Sunday morning, I was actually eating my cereal in the car on the way to... the match was in Home Farm. Just completely normal. Didn't build it up. And obviously 1-3-2. I scored the winner, actually. I should mention that.
Very good game.
Yeah. But had a decent game. And now look at... I don't know if that made a difference. Do you know what I mean? But what I'm kind of saying to our lads now is just keep doing the same things, because you'll probably upset yourself by doing things right.
Definitely.
If you've been
you can
doing
take your
things
mind
wrong,
and your focus off.
It's your mind,
You really
it,
can.
You know?
Yeah.
That's definitely it.
In the meantime, you've not represented your country though. It wasn't a junior captain, was it? It was a...
No, I played futsal. Actually, it was the year we won the league. I started playing futsal. There was a league. There still is a league here, but I was actually Dane Massey's dad, Paul, worked in Joe's, and he ran the Joe's team. He was like, you have to play, come out and play. It was actually in Ballymun where all the games were, and played one game. Absolutely loved it. It was just football, you know. It was just touches on the ball, shots, everything. It was just amazing. I just loved it.
I love the futsal. We bring it into the kids when I'm training the kids down there. We had the kind of older age there a couple of years ago, and they was doing futsal on it. It was brilliant. It was.
It's amazing. When you look at the players that have started futsal, the likes of Messi and Iniesta, Xavi, all the Brazilians,
all the South Americans.
It's just amazing, and it definitely brought my 11-a-side game on 100%. Just the little movements and that, you know, and
like shimmies or
just
who did you play for? Was it Joe?
So it was Bray Joe's the first year. That's who I played for, and we ended up
Dane and Lloyd. Did Dane and Lloyd play?
I don't know if Dane wasn't playing at the time, because I think he was with Bray. I don't think he'd gone to Dundalk at the time. Hasn't gone to Dundalk at the time. But Lloyd, I think, played, and obviously Paul was the manager. Now, we ended up playing Sporting Fingal with all the Brazilian fellas. We played them in semi-final, and we nearly all came in the same car on the night. Do you know what we literally had? It was 5 players played. I think we had 1 sub, and they had like 14 there, and they were a proper team. And I think we ended up beating them 6-4, 7-4, and I scored 5 myself. Now, that was never me. Do you know what I mean? I had purple patches, but I probably scored 10 goals in the last 10 years of my career. Do you know what I mean? It was just looking for special goals, you know. But futsal it suited me. Do you know what I mean? I loved playing it so much. And just from there, like the year after the Bray Joe's thing went, there was no team, and I ended up signing for Sporting Fingal, and we won the FEI Cup.
And were you mixing it obviously with playing for Wayside and as well?
So I was literally going. I was training with Wayside Tuesday, Thursday. I was training futsal Monday, Wednesday. Playing with Wayside on a Sunday, playing futsal on a Saturday. Just loved it. I just loved playing. Do you know what I mean?
Great game, great sport.
Yeah, amazing sport and good.
So different, isn't it?
Yeah.
So different.
Technical,
you played the AUL squad, did you?
No, I didn't play for the AWL squad. I played for Ireland under Derek and
Derek was
Junior
their
were the
manager. Junior was the manager and,
So
the
it might have been
manager.
probably after you or
Yeah.
before you, Ross.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, but we said Jay Donoghue bring in futsal with us with
That's what it
Wefty.
was. Yeah, true. Yeah.
And just training wise,
Yeah.
and same with you, I loved it.
Yeah.
It was probably my thing, a bit, kind of all short and sharp, and
Yeah.
I kind of never stopped running as a player anyway.
Yeah.
But it felt like it was just
Maybe.
natural, natural. And then
That was amazing.
we end up going. I think we end up going out training. I think myself and Crockett ended up going out training. Tony Kane got drafted into it then, and. Yeah, I think we went to Spain. Played a couple of games in Spain. Yeah.
Tony Kane was my roommate.
Tony was brilliant at it. Really good.
lunatic.
Al Lynch.
Yeah,
Al Lynch was there.
yeah,
Alan Lynch
yeah.
was unbelievable at it.
I'm coaching Alan. I'm
Unbelievable.
playing. Alan's playing there. Just see the on the pitch. It's like he's playing futsal.
He was quality.
Got the ball there to like scoot over your man's head. Your man's actually ran past him, scooped over his head, and was gone past him.
Yeah, that's what he had. Yeah,
The
Dane
two-
Massey
the
as
two of
well.
them, Tony and
Al.
Al Lynch, they had unbelievable ability.
Tony was outstanding at it. We actually played the European Championships actually.
Yeah, that was
Here.
the years before me. That
Oh,
the
was
year
it? Yeah,
before I
right.
went. Yeah.
We went over to. They put us up in Tallaght over at the Crown
Yeah.
Plaza.
Yeah.
Now, like
No,
for a
that's
week.
now, yeah.
Like,
We
and
did the
we
same,
played
'cause
in
we
the
had
Tallaght.
qualifiers, yeah,
We
yeah.
played in the Tallaght Stadium. Now, great week, like proper, like as if you're away
Like a
with
football.
Ireland's
Yeah, yeah.
first
It's
team. Do you know what I
amazing.
mean? They have you eaten right. You weren't allowed to go home.
Yeah.
We were actually played a game for Wefty, and I think we played on the Friday. Me and Tony weren't in the squad because we were only new to the. He kind of said there was always had to go to Spain and played a couple of games, but he was kind of saying, "I want you to watch what it's like, and then we'll bring us in for the second game." So he didn't bring me into the squad for the second game. So I was like, "Fuck this!" Tony got in for the second game. He done really well. I think they played England. They won, and the next game we were playing somebody else. But I had a match for Wefty on the Sunday.
Yeah.
And Christy McGelly was like, "What's the story? Do you think you'll be able to get out and go back for the game?"
Yeah.
I went and asked Derek, no chance,
Yeah,
you have a match. And I was like, I'm going playing for Wefty.
Yeah.
And he was like, you're going play for Wefty? Yeah, I'm going to go play for my club. Like, I didn't play the last two games. I was probably being a bit of a spoiled brat.
Yeah,
Yeah, it sounds like you're not being bad.
No, it does. It does. But that's what it meant to me to be playing for Wefty. Do you know what I mean?
True,
I
yeah,
wanted to, I actually
100%,
thought I was letting Wefty down by not being there
Yeah.
that week. But obviously you're playing for your country.
Yeah.
And I just said, no, look, listen, you told me I was going to play the second game. You didn't put me in the squad for the both games.
Yeah.
Am I really going to play tomorrow? You probably won't play me. And he was like, look, if you want to go play for Wefty, you're going to have to leave the camp.
Squad,
Like,
yeah,
so
yeah.
I was like, look, 5 minutes later, they were like knocking at the door. Alan, can we have your tracksuit? I still had it on.
Put it in your bag.
I was just about to put on the one room with Al Lynch. We had a bit of crack, but Al, they end up, I think they went for a meeting and Al was like, just come on, you're going to play. And I'm like, no, I'm gone, Al, I'm gone. And Al Lynch just kept going, Johnny, you can't do it.
Gas
Off
man,
the
innit?
tracksuit, left it on the bed. And I think Christy McGilligan might have came over and picked me up over Crown Plaza and he came back and got beaten them for Wefty.
But it's the closest that you'll ever get to being, for me, to being a footballer.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
It was
definitely.
amazing. And we,
Great experiences, isn't it?
amazing
Really good experience.
Like we went to France and played, and there was 3,000 at the match. That was my debut. Actually, Alan Lynch scored, and we were beaten. But it's just amazing. Like even hearing the national anthem, like I followed Ireland all over Europe. That's one of the things that I always love doing, and I love hearing the national anthem. I was belting out the national anthem. I think I was the only
proudness
one,
of
the
it.
only-
Yeah, very
just
good.
pride. That's exactly what it was, and I loved it. I just loved every minute of playing for them. And when we actually played, it was qualifiers as well, and we didn't qualify, but we were staying in the plaza as well. And I think they gave us the afternoon off, and we went to Dundrum, but we'd no other gear, so we were all in our tracksuits.
In the Ireland
And we
tracksuits,
were
yeah.
going to the cinema, and we walked through the cinema, and everyone was
Like celebrities,
what's going
yeah,
on
yeah.
here? And the security guard came over, and he was saying, someone was saying, where's the toilet? And one of the lads, we're looking for the toilet, and he's walking down, security guard's walking down. I was like, what team are you? He's like, we're the futsal team. And he just looks at him and goes, is that what it is? And just walked off the way. Do you know what I mean?
Straight back down to
Yeah,
earth.
exactly. Just like, boom, straight back down there. That's exactly what it was.
How many caps did you get, Ross?
I got 9.
Brilliant.
9 caps. So we
Very
played in
good.
Finland and played in France and that.
Quality.
Just amazing. Just loved every second of it. Like, would have done anything for it to keep playing and all. And End up like when I went to Sport and Fingal, we played in the Champions League, and it wasn't called the Champions League at the time, it was called the UEFA Cup, but it was the equivalent of the Champions League, and we won rounds and that as well. Now, to be fair, there's probably only me and 2 other Irish lads on the team. The rest of them were Brazilian, Polish, there was a Moldovan fella, but they were just different levels, you know. They were spraying their feet with hairspray and stuff like that,
to stick to the
better
floor.
grip and all, and just different level of like knowledge of futsal and stuff like that.
You'd be lost going into it, wouldn't you, as a player,
100%,
if you didn't know
yeah.
anything about it? Yeah.
Oh, completely lost. And even probably the magnitude of it was lost on me as well. Like they were saying, like Barcelona at the time had never played in the Champions League because they'd never obviously won their own tournament or something, and like we were playing in it, you know what I mean? And they were kind of saying like, this is a massive deal. Now I just kind of was just riding the crest of the wave, you know what I mean? I was playing for Bray, just loving every minute. Paul Massey was telling me, you're going to get a cap, you're going to get a cap. It never even came into my head. I was called into the squad, ended up being in the squad to get a cap, ended up winning the FAI Cup we won a round in was it Romania? I think we won a round in Lithuania, and then we had another round in Romania. Like all expenses paid, again, just living like a footballer. Do you know what I mean? It was just
Brilliant.
I had to pinch myself at times. You know what I mean? This is amazing. Like crowds at the match, ultras at the match, and all.
Give over.
Yeah, genuinely. And this was in Romania now. Now these lads battered us. Like I can't even.
The ultras are the players.
No, but like they were singing and all for 90 minutes and all. It was just amazing. Like just amazing experience. The main round that we got into, we played a team from Azerbaijan, and they came third in it the year before. So like they're the third best team in Europe essentially. Do you know what I mean? And we were playing them, and I think we were 4-2 up with like 6 minutes to go or something like that. And like this would have been one of the biggest shocks in futsal ever. Do you know, like we're a completely unknown team, and they're one of the favourites to win the tournament. But like even with 6 minutes to go, like they never panicked. They just kept playing, and they kind of switched up just to play 1v1s and like running at people and all. And I think we end up losing 6-4, 7-4. Just that quality, just told, you know.
They were a lot of them are like probably over in that neck of the woods in the world are probably professional at that
pretty
sport.
much everyone would be playing against a professional, and even like Junior would have been saying, do well here, like, and you'll get a contract somewhere. And he was saying even to me, he knew someone in Barcelona. He said to me like, I want to bring you over for a week in Barcelona. And I was like, you have to be winding me up. Come on, stop. But he actually went to Barcelona himself, and there was a fella called, I think, Fernandão or something was his name. He's a Brazilian fella that I think Junior knows, and he sent me a little postcard saying best of luck with your futsal career and all. Like, I didn't realise like how big a player this lad was. He was a Barcelona player. I was like, thanks very much. Like, put it in a little box, you know what I mean? But he was telling the truth about possibly getting me a trial at Barcelona. I was just like, what?
That's crazy, isn't it?
Training 3 days a week, 3 times a day, and all this sort of stuff. Like,
you won't get cheaper in Barcelona, then.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
We actually went when we went over. That's where we went. We went to Barcelona, and they bring us like and give us a tour of the new camp and bring us to where they played in the futsal place as well. Top of the range, like little like stadium, like
that's brilliant.
Proper little indoor
stadium,
like unbelievable.
Get proper crowds and all at the matches.
Yeah, like it's massive.
It's mad,
over
isn't
there.
it? That only futsal, and it's not really touched. I know that the Eagles over here now, they're probably the biggest. What's it called?
Blue Magic. Well, didn't the AOL after the kind of when futsal start getting a little bit bigger in this country, when Derek was running it or whatever, was manager, I think it got that the AOL actually set up a league.
They're running it. I think they might
still have it, do they? Yeah.
The Magic, they're always in the Champions League, is it? Or
they've pretty much won it. The last year that I played, we beat them in the final. But you could see they're starting to kind of do things right now. They're training all the time. Like Ian Byrne was with us with the Ireland team at the time, and he's probably the only one I know that's still playing, but he plays for them. He's their captain. Now he's probably the best Irish futsal player there's ever been, do you know what I mean, in terms of what he's done. But I'm still friends with him and still see like how they're getting on, and I'd love to keep going and having a look at the matches. Like I went to a few matches after I stopped playing because it just came it was a little bit hard when the national team stopped. The funding
stopped, didn't it? That's how it stopped. Yeah.
And then I just couldn't motivate myself to go and playing in leisure centre when we just had
Ireland
the highs.
Was gone.
Exactly, of Ireland gone. And like, to be fair to the lads, the Brazilian lads, they kept going for a couple of years, and they got to, I think they played in Tala again, like a main round of UEFA, the Champions League, and I went to one of the matches, but just not having the carrot of Ireland there for me, just it stopped it in its tracks for me. Do you know what I mean? Now, if the Ireland team had come back at any stage of that 3 or 4 years, I would have come back because it just meant so much to me to be able to play, and you know, just the experience and all that you had was amazing. You know, so
Brilliant.
yeah.
Something different.
Yeah,
Like, totally
exactly.
off the
I remember even
radar,
saying
yeah.
to Pete Lennon, he would say, it'd be lashing rain. He's like, right, we're indoor today. You do that futsal thing with the lads. I was like, what? So obviously, he didn't have a clue really what
I'm
it was.
representing
you
your
know
country
what I
here.
mean?
And you know, hit that foot.
Actually, he used to call it foosball. He used to call it, yeah.
I said you knew we just sort of wind you up and say,
Yeah.
Right, so after all the Metro win and the Charlie loss, where did you take it from there?
We lost. We ended up getting relegated. I couldn't tell you what year it was. But we'd been kind of heading that way. Do you know what I mean? We'd gone from being at the top to being a mid-table, and then a couple of years we were maybe 4th or 5th bottom. And I wouldn't say the writing was on the wall, but you could feel it coming. Do you know what I mean?
The struggle.
Yeah, it was every year was a struggle. We weren't doing well in cups. We weren't getting anywhere in cups, and you could feel it coming. And like when it came, I was devastated. Do you know what I mean? Properly devastated over it. And I got injured. I don't know if we got relegated twice. I think it was the first year we got relegated. I got injured and I was out for, I don't know how long I was out for. I had to be out for 7 or 8 weeks or something like that. Ankle ligament injury. And you know, I never missed a training session. You know,
feeling helpless.
Completely helpless. I was at every game and just wanted to do something that might help the team. Do you know what I mean? Now again, we were saying to our lads now, it's like some lads will get injured for 7 weeks, you don't see them for 7 weeks. Do you know what I mean? They come back when they're actually able to train again. Now other lads who'll do their rehab around the lads and want to be around the dressing room and all, but like for me it's like, what am I going to do on a Tuesday or Thursday if I'm not coming training? We didn't know what to do. Do you know what I mean? So I just automatically came up. If I could pick up the balls, if I could pick up a cone, then I'm helping. Like I'm doing me a little bit. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we ended up getting relegated. Now we came straight back up the year after.
Was that the year, Ross? Or the in and around sort of 2016?
Yeah, could have been. Yeah.
Can you remember we played yours with Tolka and the lights went out? Yous are winning.
Yeah, I think it was the second time we got relegated. Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah. So what happened that night? We obviously needed to win. I think you went down as well. Was it 2 down or 3 down?
No, we end up staying up.
So that's one that John talked about.
What John spoke about last year. We played Wayside down there, and it was kind of a bit of a bottom of the table clash.
Yeah.
Now it wasn't close to the relegation time or towards the end of the season. Might have been midway through the season, but we knew we were down there anyway.
Yeah.
And the lights went out.
Yeah,
you were winning.
We were 2 up.
2 up.
I think there was 10 minutes.
10 minutes to go.
And the lights went out, and they went out 3 times. And I remember the referee saying, "It's like, look, if they go out again, I'm gonna have to call the game." Now we are probably a little bit naive in that we probably thought we were gonna get the points for it, because I think
we thought that as well, that you were going to get the points.
I think there was only 7 or 8 minutes left, and we were 2 up, and the game was dead. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like we were.
It was out. It was gone.
Yeah,
we weren't coming back.
Yeah, and I don't know. For me, in hindsight, we shouldn't have left there without seeing the game out. Do you know what I mean? So, and again, look at Pete. Is obviously unbelievably experienced. I don't know if he ever came across that before. Do you know what I mean? I think the disappointing thing from us was that we end up playing this 2 weeks later.
The replay.
And he's won 2-0. I think.
Just 2-0, yeah.
And I think we got relegated on. Relegated on goal difference.
They got relegated, and we
stayed up by a pub.
Yeah,
on goal difference.
Yeah. So that was.
It was the difference. That was probably a difference.
3 points.
100% definitely was the difference.
Oh, absolutely.
And that was look. In hindsight, we were raging over it, but
maybe Channel was right about that brown envelope we gave.
But you know, the lights never go out when you're winning, though, don't they?
No,
but there was never any kind of.
No, that wouldn't have been. I don't think. I like on it. Well, I don't think that would have been anyway.
Did any clubs come with you now when you got relegated?
There was a few. I had a few offers, even from League of Ireland, throughout the years that I was there, and I didn't really want to leave. Like, especially the first kind of 4 or 5 years when you're winning things, you can just justify it. You know what I mean? Rather than going into Division 1 or whatever and traveling all around Ireland, I never wanted to do it again. When we got relegated, for me, it was my responsibility. I was a player. I was one of the senior players at that stage. I was never going anywhere then. Do you know what I mean? Now, we did lose. We lost a couple of players, but not many. And I think, again, I was thinking about Glebe and them. They didn't lose many this year, and I have so much time for that. They've players that definitely could have went elsewhere. You know, there's some really good players, and they stayed loyal to their club, and I just think there's a lot to be said for that.
Brilliant, yeah.
And a lot of our lads stayed where we were, and obviously we bounced back the year after. We actually had an unbelievable year the year after. It was ourselves at Cherry Orchard and Bangor. The three of us, I think, got relegated the year before, and we all came back the same year.
That's right, yeah.
And Cherry Orchard were an unbelievable team that year. Like, we beat them at home 1-0, and they absolutely battered us. We beat them 1-0 and they battered us. We didn't lose that season until we played them again. We played them, I think, with 5 or 6 games to go, and they scored the last kick of the game and beat us 2-1. We lost one game that season. They lost one game. It was against each other, and I think we won the rest of our games that season. Again, Pete was like, we'll see what happens, you know. But they won the league by a point, and the aim for us was to go
Who
back
won
up.
the league by a point?
Cherry
Orchard won it?
Yeah. And then
Did
Bangor
they?
were third, and the three of us went back up. Now, I don't think Bangor came back down again.
So Cherry Orchard won it the year they came up that time?
Yeah.
Did they?
They won it, and like, they were unbelievable. They were Deco Heavy was the manager.
Deco Heavy was the manager, yeah.
They
That
were
would have
a
been...
brilliant team.
No, that couldn't have been the year Tolka got relegated then, was it? Possibly, I don't know.
I
Maybe
could
not.
be
Maybe
mixing up
it
the
could.
first and
No,
second
yeah, it
time
could.
here, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they could have. It might have been probably the year after, maybe, or whatever.
Yeah,
but geez, that's
no.
an unbelievable achievement for them to do,
And
wasn't
then, I think, did they have 1 year? I think we might have stayed up for 1 year and then went back down.
it? Because it happened just a couple of times, didn't you? You
So
went down and
was
straight
it,
back up.
yeah.
And
And that was actually Mocktus beat us at home. I think, I can't remember what score it was. They beat us at home anyway to relegate us. Now, we weren't officially relegated at the time. At least now everyone finishes on the same day, so you kind of know. But I think Greystones had to win 4 of their last 4 games or something like that, and did it and stayed up. But I knew after that Mocktus game that we were going to go down, and like, I was raging. Like, that night I was wandering the streets at like 4 o'clock.
There's a
in the morning.
time, isn't there? The time of it.
I knew if I closed my eyes, I was just going to think about the match.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I just couldn't put my
It's
head
mad
down.
how football drives us that, isn't it?
And that's the thing. Even now, that I'm glad for the kids. Do you know what I mean? Because once you get home, I forget about football then, because they're there. Do you know what I mean? They don't
Great
understand.
distraction.
They
Yeah,
are.
yeah.
Dude, it's great as well though when you go and your partners, obviously my wife and your wife as well, you'll be like, oh, maybe head direct out of the match. She's like, it's only a game, and you're trying to justify it. Yeah, it's only a game, but it's a game that I love.
Yeah.
And that's what game makes me feel like this.
Yeah, exactly.
Just go watch a television, please.
It's funny because when we met first, I said to her, look, I love football.
I'm married to football.
Yeah. And she was like, look, I have 3 older brothers. Like, her older brother actually is the manager of the Kilmacud Crows hurling team, so he's massively into sport as well. And 2 other brothers like
So
sport.
she's familiar with the
She's
commitment.
familiar with it, but I was just like, no, but like, seriously, I know it's
but,
not healthy, but just like,
Bear with me.
exactly. Like, and I said, look, I won't mess you around, I won't take the piss or anything like that, but like, football is like, you don't have to understand
Is
it,
it?
but just
Yeah.
respect the fact that it's gonna be like ridiculous. You're gonna be a
Ross, will
football
you ring
widow.
my missus, please? And say, I'm going to have to get to listen to this.
But yeah. Oh,
But how does she cope with it now, with you being a manager, obviously, and it's the full time of it?
Yeah, it's
Put
tough.
the phone
it's tough
away.
on her because we obviously two little babies. She's a 2.5-year-old and a 1-year-old, and
No messing around
that's
there,
a
bro.
full it's a full-time job. Do you know, a proper full-time job, and you know, I do forget sometimes if Wayside aren't winning that. Not that she doesn't care, she does care, but other things are more important for her. Do you know what I mean? And look, she's reminded me of that a few times this year. I don't think it's fair to say, but she's been unbelievable. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously, who picks you up when you
need to go one behind you, yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly it. And she's always done that, to be fair. I haven't told her that very often, but she has, to be fair to her.
Just clip that part and send it, yeah. But so the management side of things, so Peter was it?
Yeah.
Peak.
Yeah, he was leaving.
Yeah. So
And was your name come up in, or did he come to you with the?
he came to me, yeah. Now, I'd say for the last couple of years, I wouldn't say I was thinking about being the manager of the team, but I started, like, I've always been just massively into football, as you know, but I started going to matches then in the league just because I like going to matches. You know what I mean? Now I'd never say to Pete, you know, he should play this way or that way because that was his job. But I just did it myself because I wanted to try and learn a little bit and see.
And you obviously coached with the kids as well.
Yeah, exactly. And just that was just always my mind. My granddad always says about a time we went to see Shells. I think we were 9 or 10, and Santa was coming, and over the riverside side of the ground, there was no one there. Go over if you want the selection box. So he sends me over as 9 or 10, and half an hour later I hadn't come back. So he went over, and I was sitting up the top of the riverside stand looking down. And he's like, "What are you doing? Why didn't you come back?" He's like, "Have a better view of the game from here."
Yeah.
And like he was saying, like, you were 9 or 10 at the time. Do you know what I mean? So now I don't know if maybe I just wanted to sit up there. Do you know what I mean? But that's what I said. And even since then, old managers would always say to you, go and look at the player who plays in your position. So if I was watching Shells back in the day, I was looking at Richie Baker or players like that, and I was like, what's he doing? He was always small as well, but he was unbelievable in the air. Do you know? And I was like, well, maybe I can head the ball. Do you know? I'd always sort of went to matches to learn a little bit as well and enjoy the atmosphere in the match and hope your team wins and all. But I never just went just for the match from then on. Do you know what I mean? So I had the, I suppose, coach and brain. If you ask any of the lads on the team at that stage who was most likely to be a manager, they probably would have said me, because I would have been taking some of the sessions and stuff like that.
And you'd have been a leader on the pitch as well, wouldn't
being
you?
the captain and stuff like that, you know. So
There's a couple of things that there that you're very observant there, even when you're talking about inch core, that you've done your homework on them.
yeah,
I mean, you're getting players in, you've done your homework on them.
Yeah.
Obviously, you go watch matches, so it looks like that's in you from just as a person.
Yeah, it is.
That's you do your background checks
definitely
on people and
it's
teams. And stuff.
important. I think I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't do that. You know what I mean? And the stuff about going to see games, I love that part. That's probably the part that I like the most. I don't consider myself a coach of the team because I actually don't know if there's loads of coaching to be done in senior football. It's more saying the right thing at the right time, or, you know, leaving a player out when he should be left out and that sort of thing. I don't necessarily think that it is about coaching. We have a very good coach ourselves, so he tends to do a lot of the actual coaching, whereas I actually think I'm the manager. Do you know what I mean? Rather than
I think it can be over analysed a bit
100%.
in the senior game.
I think we've done that as well. Like, we have the VO camera. And
I
that.
totally agree with that.
Yeah, no, like I'd be the same. Like, I think we've the VO camera, and I remember looking back at the games and stuff like that, and over the last few weeks, I can't do it. I'm just looking at it going, what am I going to tell the lads here that they don't know already? Now, sometimes you might think of something that happened in the match and you're like, right, I'll fast forward it to the 30th minute, or the goal, where did that come from, or stuff like that. But I think the lads that we have, they don't take that information on board that well. So don't flood them with it, you know what I mean? And look, at other teams might have different things. I know Crumlin have the data, the things, the pods and that. I don't know if our lads would care if they did 100 high intensity sprints in a match or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Or if me as a manager, if someone didn't do that, would I leave them out of the team? Now, I'm not saying that that's what they do, but obviously that some data is good. But I think you can always get a stat that will prove what you see with your eyes. Do you know what I mean? So
I think that's as you said there, that you couldn't use the VO for, say, set piece that went against you, or so he wasn't picking up stuff that. But you got to stand there watching the match, and you have two other coaches there. You're seeing what's going on. I know it can't be analysed a bit more.
What do we do without when we didn't have VO?
Exactly.
You know.
So you make the decision and you make your mind up on the pitch. If someone makes a bad 5-yard pass, you're not going to say, right, you made that 5-yard pass. It was just a bad pass.
Yeah.
You overanalyse that then, you say, well, your body shape wasn't right.
Yeah.
Your head was, you looked up to and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's not going to work that way.
No.
And if your manager's going to say, yeah, no, but it sounds.
Yeah.
Good luck.
That's exactly
Yeah,
it, 100%. And like, we'd be saying the same things in the dressing room at times, and look, I've gone to saying nothing really before the match now, just basically a couple of little points. But like, the lads, once they know they're in the team or they're not in the team, they start thinking about other things, you know, especially if you're not in the team. Like, we have a decent squad now, and we have to change the team around, and constantly saying, lads on the bench, make sure you're tuned in. But I know myself, once I was left out of the team, my head's gone. Do you know what I mean? Like, the manager could be saying that, and he could give you the lotto numbers. You're not going to listen to
I'm in the corner eating Jaffa cakes and jellies
That's
till
it.
my stomach is blowing. You're going on.
And they'll never agree with you that they should be left out of the team. And again, I never agree. Like, thankfully, Pete never left me out very often, but he left me out a few times. And for the week after that, I'd be raging like, Pete knows nothing about the game. Nothing. Like, how could he leave me out of the team when this player was worse than me and that player was worse than me? But it was only, I remember he left me out once against, we were playing Newbridge down there, and he changed to 3-5-2, and I was probably 32 or 33 at the time, and he told me I wasn't playing right wing back, and I nearly shook his hand. Do you know what I mean? I was just like, it was the first time ever I was just like,
You're right.
I wouldn't play myself right wing back either. He was playing a fella who can run up and down and blah blah blah, and by the time the game kicked off, I was grand. Do you know what I mean? I was like, he's made the complete right decision. If it was between me and him, he picked the right player on the day. Do you know what I mean? So
Just a little bit of experience now.
That's it.
22-year-old.
a bit of acceptance to
if
it,
that was
yeah.
5 years earlier, I'd be just like, how is he playing instead of me?
Yeah.
This lad has been brutal for the whole season, but he's not playing. He's the left full. It's got nothing to do with it. Do you know what I mean? So
Exactly, there you go, where you're saying you're blaming
Yeah.
pointing the finger at somebody else. Yeah.
And I'm trying to get that across to our lads now. Look at, if you're being left out of the team, just look at yourself first. If you look at yourself properly and you think I still should be in the team, come and have a word with me before training or after training, and I'll say, well, look at, this is what I think was happening. Or I could say, look, do you want me to show you the VO of you giving the ball away? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can do that for you if you want.
I'll
No,
point
I don't do that with lads anymore because I just don't think they like it. They don't like being embarrassed by giving the ball away, and like even looking at the VO when you're playing, it's like slow motion. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it couldn't be that slow when you're playing, and it's not, because you have to think of things and all this sort of stuff. So I think sometimes the coaching, you can be overcoached, especially at our level. Sometimes the lads, sometimes in training, we just go up and say, right, we have 18, just play 8v8 for 45 minutes and go home.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Warm up, passing, drilling into it.
That's
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And the lads will be delighted with that, and home they go.
Do you know, as a player,
Yeah.
I think that's some of the best
Smash
thing
into
you can
someone
do.
and tackle, and
Like, I've been with loads of coaches that probably go and overanalyze things.
Yeah.
But remember with Mark Kenny, sorry for skipping over it, but Mark Kenny with us with Crumlin, you're doing probably the same warm up all the time. You do a little warm up, a really good intense passing drill, and straight into
football, yeah.
7v7s.
Yeah.
And the ball is popping, and that's all a player wants.
Yeah.
That's all a player
That's
wants,
it.
and like, unbelievable. That's all I want. When I go to train, that's all I want to do.
Yeah.
Give me a warm up, a fast passing drill, and 7v7s
Yeah.
till your fucking legs
The
fall
worst
off.
thing you can do was shape in the middle of December. We don't say pair lads, you're like,
Yeah.
Now, a few times we planned a session and we're like, right, we're going to finish. We're going to do 15, 20 minutes of shape. And Wayside would be windy and cold. We just say, look, we'll do it on the board.
Yeah,
We'll do it
exactly.
on the board for 5 minutes. This is
Slow
what you have to
taking
do.
it in there, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny, someone made this point to me a while ago about Irish players in general not being tactically as good as, say, Spanish players. And that was the point they made. Well, if you're here and you're a kid and it's lashing rain and windy and you're trying to make that point of how to play 4-4-2 or a 4-3-3 or whatever it is, and you're in Ireland and it's windy and cold, you're switched off. If you're in Spain and it's nice and warm, you're probably still switched on. You're clued into the session. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
The weather is actually a big part
great point.
of that sort of thing, you know. So,
Especially up in Jackman Park. Yeah.
Like a good few times we just said, right, even on the way up, we were like, right, we'll do the first 15 minutes in the dressing room. We'll say, this is the way we're going to play, but we're not going to stop the session every 2 minutes and say, this, you know, the lads will have in their head what way we're going to play. In general, we've played the same formation for the majority of the season. Now, we actually tweaked on Sunday probably for the first time, actually to get players into the team. Do you know what I mean? To give people, not give people a run because they deserve to play, but just that they were going to play in a position that they're a little bit more comfortable with, you know. And we actually didn't work on shape on, what day was it? Friday. We just did a little bit of ball. I think we had 8v8, play a game, get yourself in the team, make it competitive, and that was it. You know what I mean?
Very good.
Sometimes that's the best thing to do.
Yeah.
So how are you looking squad-wise now going forward for the next few years? Well, I can't say next few years, but is there something to build on there, obviously?
Yeah, I think so. I hope so. And I'm sure at the end of this season we'll have one or two lads who other teams in the league with maybe more resources than us might be after, because for me, I think we've some of the best players in the league. And look, I've spoken to Brian McCarthy about the LSL team, and we probably would have had a couple in that were injured and that, But, if I was the manager of the LSL team, I'd have 5 or 6 fair lads in. But that's just because I know them as well and I trust them. And I think any manager who's a manager in the league would probably say the same. They'd have 5 or 6 as well. And I've absolutely no issue with the fact that Moctus had 7 or 8 or 9 or whatever it is in the squad, because the manager has to pick people he trusts. And even from speaking to Pete when he was the manager, the tournament could be on a Friday and he'd be getting the calls on a Thursday from 3 or 4 lads who pulled out. Maybe because their managers didn't want them to play or whatever, but he knew his own team, his own lads weren't going to do that. So I'm sure the same scenario comes up with Brian when he's picking his team. So I'm not saying that he should have 6 of my lads in the team or anything like that, but just if
backing your own players, that's what managers
and
do.
you know them.
Genuinely good, yeah.
Do you confide in Pete much? Is phone calls?
Yeah.
How do you think we done?
It's a strange one.
What would you do?
I don't tend to ring anyone about football, but Pete will tend to send me a message at the right time or ring me at the right time. He'll know you've had a bad result or whatever it was. I think.
Is he still involved in the club, or does he come watch?
He's still part of the board. He still comes to a good few of the matches. Doesn't come all the time. Doesn't come near training or anything like that. But he's part of the club, And look, I said to him when I took over, if you want to come train and you want to come to matches, you want to sit on the bench, you can do that. It's your club. I'm just a guest. Do you know what I mean? So, as far as I'm concerned, he can do it. Now, probably the players that we have now, he probably would only manage maybe 4 or 5 of them. Do you know what I mean? The team has changed a lot, but I think the great thing with Pete is he's obviously left me do whatever I wanted to do. He's offered advice when I needed advice. I remember actually we lost to Inchicore last year in the cup, and I was very down about it. Now I didn't know if I was outwardly down about it, but I was head down, and even the chairman was there after, and he kind of noticed a little bit. But the next day Pete rang me and had a chat and all, and it was just at the right time. Like, he'd never ring, say, after winning, after beating Crumlin on Sunday. It was obviously a great result for us. He'd never ring saying great result, because don't need it then. Do you know what I mean? He'd ring you
the
right time, exactly. So he's always there. He's always said, "Look, I'm there to help if you want."
It's good to have, especially with young lads same age as myself, but
No,
a young manager
yeah.
going in and inexperienced there. But the way you're talking, I don't think you're inexperienced there, because the way you're talking is you're talking like a seasoned manager here.
Definitely,
But you seem to have it all wrapped up in your own head. I think you have everything down to a point, which is good. But the experience side of things, which that you haven't got.
Yeah.
He's there for you, and it's just a little arm around the shoulder that you kind of need it, and
100%.
you probably won't get off your coaches there, because these are in the same boat together.
Yeah, exactly. And we're in the same boat, and you're probably too close to it when you're in it. He's just a step away from it, and look, he's been there and done it and all. And yeah, it's literally just he's been there when I've needed him. Do you know what I mean? And my dad was calling me David Moyes for a while after taking over from Ferguson type of thing.
I was only thinking that day when you were saying that, you were asking, was you around much and all that? Like, I was thinking that Fergie.
No, but yeah, so like that's I'd always likened Pete to Ferguson, that he was there for that long, and I suppose Martin Loughran would have been the same type of figure,
it's actually it's all kind of spinning in my head. It's
Yeah.
all so familiar. But obviously being with Crumlin and known, and you seem like you're in a very similar position as that's what James is in. To you with Pete and James with Martin.
Even worse for James, I suppose, in that the expectation to keep on winning was probably still there, where the expectations coming from myself now to try and get back to that level. There's no kind of, wouldn't say there's no pressure, because everyone wants to win, do you know what I mean? But we probably had the barren years coming into Pete stepping down, whereas Crumlin were just always winning. And obviously he's won the league in the first year that James was there, which was incredible. Do you know what I mean?
I don't think even that's being talked about actually
no,
enough,
he's
to
probably
be honest.
not got the credit that he deserved
was
for winning the league. And it's funny, around Christmas time we were looking at the league, and I actually think I spoke to James on the phone, and I said, I actually don't think there's any team in this league that is amazing just at that time. And he was saying, yeah, look, I think the same. And I think Malahide might have won it the year before, and obviously Moctus were there, and we were kind of both saying the same thing. And I think he's brought in, didn't you bring in Mark Byrne and Oscar?
Mark and Oscar we bring in,
and that just made such a big difference. And I was even saying to Simo, I was like, we were never really talking about winning the league ourselves, but I was saying if we could get 2 or 3 other players in. Now they didn't exist for us. Do you know what I mean? We didn't have the
Weren't
context.
on the radar, yeah.
They weren't on the radar. There was never an occasion, but we were just like, and you can win your first 2 or 3 games after Christmas. You get momentum, and once the momentum comes, and like club like Crumlin used to winning things, players there have won things, sniffed it out. Do you know what I mean? And won it well. Do you know that's it. That's it exactly. And yeah, look, you definitely didn't get the credit you deserve. It was an unbelievable achievement.
I think so. I think it was a bit underrated kind of year.
Overlooked
Kind of year, definitely, yeah. But just rewinding back there a little bit, how did the conversation go then when Pete's retiring? Does he come to you and say, look, I'm retiring, or does
Pretty
he
much, yeah.
you're probably the first person he comes to tell, maybe?
It was during COVID as well, so he actually called me up to the club, and I suppose part of me was thinking he was going to tell me that he was retiring. Do you know what I mean? And like I had started doing like a lot of the coaching again. Not coaching, it was probably training, just doing training. Do you know what I mean? And he called me up and he said, "Look, I've had enough. You know, this is a good time for me to go, and I think you're the person to take it on." And he said, "Think about it," and all. And I was like, "I don't need to."
Were you shocked or?
I wasn't shocked. I suppose
because obviously you're still playing, like you're still good enough to play, and
there was a bit of shock because, like, even if you're expecting something to happen, like he was never going to be able to go on forever. But for him to say that it was me that he wanted me to take over, obviously that was a massive honour for me. It was humbling. Do you know what I mean? That he wanted me to take over, that he thought I was capable of taking over, and I said yes straight away. To be honest with you, I didn't know if it was something that I wanted to do until he said it. Now look, I did know I wanted to do it. I didn't know I wanted to do it then.
Do you know what I mean? The time,
yeah, exactly. And like I spoke to my dad obviously as well, and he was just like, "Don't give up playing." That was his one thing he said, because he always said to me himself that he gave up playing too early. Now he won't forgive me for saying this, but he wasn't as good a player as I was. You know what I mean? But he always, like, he still plays now on a Tuesday afternoon in Sandymount. He plays and he's 60 odd or whatever it is.
Deadly.
And he'll ring me and say, "I got 2 today." Do you know
what I mean?
Yeah, he's like Pele. He's still counting the goals. Do you know what I mean? But he just still loves playing, and even now,
I was giving that voice as well. Yeah, just play as long as you can.
Yeah,
that's the plan.
It's brilliant, the voice. To be honest with you, if somebody came to me and said something like that to me now, that's the first thing I'd say to them is just keep playing as long as you can.
If
you once you stop, it's done.
Yeah,
it's no coming back.
That's it. And like even the lads in work with me, they'd always be saying, "Looking forward to the game at the weekend." I was like, "Oh, really? I'm not getting to play."
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
it's different, isn't it, Ross? Like it's a completely different feeling.
Like this 35s game that we have in a couple of weeks' time, I'm looking forward to that because I know I'm going to play. Do you know what I mean? Whereas even like the Intermediate Cup or semi-final, that was a little bit different. I was looking forward to that. Like that was a big occasion. But even Inchi Core and that, like it was a semi-final. I was hoping that we were going to win, obviously, but looking forward to it. I look forward more to, you know, maybe there being 15 and training and me being 16 than getting to play. Do you know what I mean? And that's still in me, and that's still, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to let that go. And even now, like timing wise, my dad was saying, "Look, you might not get the chance if you say no to this and you continue playing, and someone comes in and it suits the club.
An opportunity.
You could be there for 10 years. Do you know what I mean? And you might not get the chance again. And I never thought about turning it down, to be honest with you. But it's been tough. Like I played the first year and probably half of the second year, and I found it tough juggling the both of them, because there was times obviously I wasn't playing well. Do you know what I mean? And at half time I was trying to say we need to do better, and they're kind of looking at me going, "You've been shy in the first half." Do you know what I mean?
That's what I was going
to. I took myself off at half time at times, even if I didn't think I was the worst player, but just for the reaction to say, "Look, someone else has to come in," or do you know what I mean? So
what's the feeling like on the pitch when you're are you a manager and a player?
See,
is it like
hard,
what?
And that's why I try to get to the lads, like, you have to just treat me as one of the lads, and you have to give out to me, and you have to say all this sort of stuff, because I won't hold it against you later on. If you're giving me a bit of stick on the pitch, I'm not going to say, "Well, I'm taking him off because he's giving me a bit of stick."
You can say that though, but as a player,
I've taken a few lads off.
Yeah,
a bit of stick.
It's in the back of your head. It's in the back of your head. Saying, I'm not going to lace him down now.
It'd
be in the back of some. Well, it'd be in the back of my head and said, "Why lace he'll hold against me?"
Yeah.
No, it was too tough in the end to. I suppose the turning point actually was we signed my brother who played centre midfield as well, and I'm not saying I didn't trust anyone else to play there, but I
knew what you were
coach.
getting.
I knew exactly what I was getting from him. He's played 300 or 400 games in the League of Ireland. He played that position, and that I felt when I wasn't playing myself that none of the other lads did the job the same way and just protected the back four the way I did, and quality on the ball and all that sort of thing. And when he said he'd signed, that probably retired me, being honest. I haven't played since he's been there. Do you know what I mean? So maybe if he went back to the League of Ireland, I might get another chance to play.
We've a 7-a-side on the 8th of June there, so you can put a team in for that. Have a game.
I text Ross. Was it when did you play Glebe?
Friday, yeah.
On the Friday. What is it? Friday? A couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
I texted him at about, I don't know what time it was. It was late in the evening anyway. Didn't know.
It was
I
the
thought
first text I saw after losing the semi final.
I thought the fixture was the next day.
Yeah.
I banged out a text to him anyway, and then I'm flicking on Twitter, and I was like, Glebe, Wayside. I was like, oh, fuck, I'm not sending him a message, and he's gonna come out and open it. It's about a tournament that had to get beaten in the semi-finals.
Bit of a super podcast.
And I didn't get a reply, so I was like, right.
No, I'll go to once message during the day. I kind of get to a stage of the day, and it's like, right, I'm on football now. So
football mode, yeah,
exactly. And then the next.
So
day,
that's why you didn't answer it those few
it.
times. It took us a couple of weeks to get you.
The worst time with the phone, the terrible with the phone, but yeah, no, I tend. Okay, you know yourselves when you're at home. She doesn't like you being on the phone. You're not there often enough, and then you're on the phone. Do you know what I mean? So try my best now. Not enough at times, but try my best.
Well, you're definitely going into 7-a-side though, yeah.
I might do the 7-a-side. 8th of
June.
June.
It's a big 7-a-side tournament.
Try get Ray Whelan off the couch, and a couple of the other lads.
Goalkeeper.
No, youngest there. What's over
30s, 35s.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, 30s, 35s.
Even
so
better.
don't bring your team.
Slow pace. Well, the team would be sick of me at that stage. We'd be
well
for
finished,
a break.
hopefully.
Yeah,
Definitely. But right, we'll go into our questions, Ross. I think we hit the.
We covered everything there. Yeah.
Covered everything. Yeah. Look, listen, fair play. It's actually a in with the top league and Leinster Senior League now. There's a lot of young managers, isn't there now? Like with likes yourself and James and Mick McLaughlin with Bluebell. And a lot.
Yeah.
John Scott.
John. Yeah.
Like fair play to him for doing it for so long is what I'd say, because I would say you'll see 2, 3, 4 years, that's the maximum, and then go. Like I'm not saying I'm gonna be packing in at Wayside, but I can see why people are doing it. Do you know what I mean? They only get to a certain length of time, and then I suppose the sacrifice that you have to make, it's not worth it then. Do you know what I mean? In terms of even your own lads putting in the same amount of commitment as you're putting in, you know. Like we're lucky in Wayside. Like pretty much every training session we've 17, 18 bodies, and like we trained on the 27th of December, we trained on the 31st of December, trained on all these days that I just felt that we needed to train on, do you know what I mean? But huge attendance and interest in that, and look, that's a testament to themselves, you know what I mean? Because they know we kind of drilling into them that they'd be letting themselves down, not coming and stuff like that. And it was actually my anniversary on the 31st of December, and I came trained as well, so that didn't go down well either.
Fair play to both.
It went well with the players, I'm sure.
Well, they probably didn't know.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm saying, look, I'm making the sacrifices, so you can do the same.
Yeah,
for me,
well
do you know
put.
what I mean?
Yeah, well put. I know it does help massively, especially going forward. Look, is reaching semi-finals, intermediates, and going far in the cups, and it's still looking all right for you in the league, which is our games in hand. So
yeah, definitely.
This episode is brought to you by O'Connor Cars. Don't let car troubles slow you down. Turn to the motor experts at O'Connor Cars for fast and reliable service that gets you back on the road in no time. We all know the frustration of unexpected breakdowns. That's why their team are here to fix any issue, big or small, with precision and care. From engine tune-ups to brake repairs, transmission fixes to diagnostics, they do it all. For reliable motor repairs, call O'Connor Cars on 01 834 0938 or contact them via Instagram or Facebook at O'Connor Cars.
Any regrets?
Yeah, I was actually thinking about this one. Don't really do regrets in general, but one regret I probably have is that I didn't maybe push myself at times in terms of, you know, even when I was dropped down a team in Joe's, maybe to go somewhere else, to a top team, to a a Cherry Orchard or a Home Farm or something like that, because even at that time I would have backed myself at that stage to to get in another team and to play in that. Now I don't have regrets about not leaving Joe's, because that was my club and that, and I suppose even around the time I was at Bray, maybe being a little bit more vocal towards the manager, like not in a bad way, but just say, look, what do I have to do
Just
to get in the
say,
team?
here,
Probably a little bit.
Yeah.
I was a little bit shy and naive at that stage, where if I did go and say to him, well, look, can I go out on loan then? Do you know what I mean? Can I go somewhere else just to play games or whatever? And look, it might not have made the difference.
Maybe it could have though, because the manager probably sees you like, I can drop him, he won't say that.
Yeah,
He'll be alright. So
exactly.
maybe that's why his choice was, I won't drop him, I'll get grief off him.
Yeah, I felt I was always an easy target in that, and someone easy to leave out of the team, because I wouldn't kick up a fuss. And even going into management, I was always wary of leaving players like that out, like lads that are good in the dressing room and all, because sometimes you have to leave the lad out who is not good in the dressing room, because that's the right thing to do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
definitely.
I was conscious of that going into management, that I felt hard done by being a good apple. Do you know what I mean? So probably that sort of thing, being a little bit more vocal, probably a bit of a regret.
The best player you played with?
That's a tough one. I suppose I keep a Leinster senior, because I played a few matches with Dennis Irwin. For United Legends. I played a couple of United Legends games. I know the fellow who looks after them here, and we actually played Wayside once. So he's like, look, we have United Legends. Obviously you can play for United if you want. So Dennis Irwin was playing. So him, and for my wedding present, the same fella, they were playing down in Maynooth. He said, look, you might as well go and play. You can play for United again. I was like, right, grand. So I played with Dennis Irwin a few times there. But
that's some going, isn't it?
Yeah, it was
Any
amazing.
other
legends, didn't he?
Like, he was
Yeah,
50
yeah.
odd. There was like Brian McClare was playing, Lee Sharp, a few
Definitely.
more like legends in their time. Now, obviously they weren't as good as they were. Even David May was actually really good in the game. He kind of played like centre midfield, number 10 type of thing. Just because like the rest of the lads just wanted to move back and play at the back, do you know
that's
what I mean?
usually happens, yeah.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. But I suppose in LSL terms, it's a tough one. I'd probably overall go with Ian Callahan, Sailor, just because I suppose for what he did, like there was a time he was probably the best amateur player in the country, so I'd probably go with him, even though I probably only had a year and a half with him, but I'd say it's probably him, yeah.
So best manager?
Best manager would have to be P, just I suppose for what he's done in the game and how he's looked after me. I'd probably go with my dad as the best coach, but Pete is the best manager. My dad was an amazing coach as well. I know I said it earlier, but at the moment he's the director of football in Joe's. But he does the academy in Joe's 4, 5, 6 year olds. He obviously was Bray coach for 20 odd years, and he was the Ireland B coach for a while as well. Paul Clement was supposed to be the Ireland B coach and got sick, and he went in and took his place. Like Paul Clement was assistant manager to Ancelotti at Real Madrid and Bayern Munich and teams like that. So that was the caliber of me dad. But I'd never met anyone who could do 4, 5, 6 year olds and elite players and everyone in between, and that was him.
So just looking at him, yeah. So
so he'd be the best coach, I'd say. Pete, definitely the best.
So say I'm as well used to the football in the family. Yeah.
Oh yeah, my ma definitely is, and she'd actually be giving out when we're home. Do you know what I mean? When we're
it's
home,
just
we're
all
dominating the
football
telly and
talk,
all this sort of stuff. So
How was your dad when you were with Bray at 21 level, when you're saying you wanted to be a bit more vocal? Could he have influenced you a little bit and said, look, listen?
He did influence me. Now, he didn't influence the manager because I never got a game. He always said to me, and again, I was a little bit shy, but he always said to me, he's like, look, you have to train really well. If you train really well and you step outside your comfort zone, you demand the ball, you do all that, then you give the manager an opportunity to play you. And to be honest with you, I did for that year. And like even senior players came to me and said, you should get a chance here. Now again, I was shy. I was probably very laid back as well. Now, I'd never go to my dad and say, why am I playing? Because I knew he didn't have an influence on the manager. I knew he didn't. He was one of the coaches and all, but the manager probably made up his own mind, you know. I actually thought at a stage of the season he'd probably play himself instead of playing me. Now, not as a person, there was no personal things. Like, I'd still get on well with Eddie now, you know. If I see him, I'd go and shake his hand, we'd have a chat and all, but he obviously just didn't trust me to play, and that was the bottom line. And look, it wasn't personal for me. It wasn't personal for him either, you know. So
Your best club.
best club.
This won't be hard.
I have two clubs, Joe's and Wayside. So
If you're a schoolboy, we give you
Joe's a schoolboy, and Wayside. Like Wayside, for me, just the best club that you can play for. Really, just like the people around the club more so than like me or the players or anything like that. Just really well run, traditional club with great characters, you know. So
Very good.
Very good.
Best friend in football.
tough one as well. Again, in League of Ireland, you're always told you get no friends in football. That was always said in the dressing room and in Bray and that. Now, look, for me, it was never right. I've always made friends. Like lads I played with in Joe's, still my friends. Lads I played with in Wayside, still my friends. I probably put Caleb Murray as the number one. He was groomsman at my wedding. So I actually picked three people. I picked one friend, one family member, and one from football, and he was the one from football, so I'd probably go with him. Just top man. Just
Is he still involved?
he's gone back playing with Rosemount. He was the second team manager in Wayside for the last 2 years, but stepped down. Just probably commitment from the players was the big thing for him. It just wasn't the same, especially from the first team to the second team. But he's gone back and he's playing now again for Rosemount. Rosemount's just right across the road from him. So him and Kenny are back playing down there. And John O'Neill as well. The three of them are playing. Johnner's playing in there. So, look at any of the three of them. The year we won the league, we were going out every Friday after matches. The three of them, we're around the same age and just love going out, love being together. And all them lads would have been invited to my wedding and that, you know. And
Brilliant.
yeah, proper friends as well.
Yeah, very good. The hardest player you played against?
This won't be a surprise. Martin Kramer.
Yeah.
Just a brilliant player. And like when I say the hardest player, like you could have hard players that like just run all over you and tackle and physically and all this sort of thing. And it's funny, I remember talking to a fella who played for Bray with me, Sean Fitzgerald. He played in the league as well. And he played with him at Greystone. He said, waiting to see this fella. I think he was playing at Dublin Bus at the time. He said he's the best player in the league by a mile. And I don't think I played against Dublin Bus for Greystones. I don't think I was there, so I didn't see him, but it was Crumlin that I played against him. And he's just a brilliant player. Do you know what I mean? Left foot.
Yeah, top quality.
Just ahead of people mentally as well. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, if you wanted to go and tackle him, he can take a tackle and put a tackle in himself. Do you know what I mean? Just a brilliant player. And he was someone I always liked playing against, so I don't know if putting him down as the hardest player is the right thing to do.
And yeah, like playing against him in a weird way. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, very good.
To test yourself, you know.
Test yourself, and the fact that it was going to be a football match as well. It wasn't like there's some players in the league that, you know, they were just going to kick you and like bite you and pull you and drag you and all. It was never that with him. It was going to be purely a football game, and I just loved that. I always loved playing against Crumlin. I even said to the lads on Sunday, it was always my favourite fixture because they were always going to play. No matter who the manager is, no matter who the players are, you have to play if you play for Crumlin. Do you know what I mean? And that gives you space to play. Now, sometimes Crumlin were just too good for us over the years, do you know what I mean? And they beat us. But I just always loved playing in the match myself. So I definitely put him down as the best player I played against in the league.
Your favourite memory?
Favourite memory? I'd say scoring the winner in the Metro final would be my favourite memory. Now I probably should say winning the league is the favourite, but scoring the winning goal in the cup final was a big one for me. My granddad was there, my dad was there, Ma was there, my nephew was there, all behind the goal.
That's what it's about, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what it's all
And
about.
what was it, late goal, was it?
It was in extra time. It was,
there you go.
it was
Even better.
Yeah, and yeah, look, it was a good goal. 20 or 30 yards out into the top.
Give over.
It gets further out every time we talk about it.
No, but it was a nice goal, and like as I said, I probably didn't score that many goals in the end. Do you know, I moved back to play right back, and like if I scored a goal, it was a free kick and that. And actually, I remember hearing Gary Neville. Now, I'm not comparing myself to Gary Neville, but I remember hearing yeah, the good, like. But I remember hearing him saying that he knew he wasn't obviously going to score loads of goals. I think he scored 3 goals for United, but he always prayed that he'd get one that was really important. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, when you end up moving back down the pitch, you score less goals and that. And that's what I was kind of thinking near the end of my career. Get a goal that means something. Like I scored in that Charlie Cattle final that we're beating in as well. But yeah, it was always in my head, try and score a goal that, you know, really means something, rather than scoring 10 goals a year, whatever it was. If you get one, that's really important. So that was probably
Good way of looking at it.
Yeah, the highlight, I suppose. Yeah.
Definitely. Players that didn't fulfill their potential.
Yeah, I was thinking about this as well. There's one fella that came into my head straight away, and his name's Philly Halligan. He played with us the year we got promoted, and the year we got to the cup final. He played in the cup final that you would have played in, that we just beat us on penalties. He's a left winger, and he just had all the attributes to be a great player. I actually said to my dad was still with Bray first team at the time. He's like, you need to come down and watch this lad, because
Where did he play?
he played left wing, left or right wing.
Yeah, he
Quick.
fucking tormented me. Like, fucking
He's a
tore
quick
me a new
player.
arsehole.
Yeah.
It's probably the worst game I played for Crumlin.
But
Yeah,
he was a
left
good
wing.
player,
Yeah.
proper player. And for that kind of 3 or 4 month period, he was unbelievable. He was scoring goals, he was making goals. And as I said to my dad, I said, you need to come down and watch him, because someone else is going to take him. And the last training session we had before our last game that season, now we couldn't get promoted. It was going to be a nothing match. Someone clattered him in training, and his ankle or his foot ballooned, and he ended up going to Canada that year, that summer, for the whole summer, and came back, and his foot was the exact same way as it left the dressing room. He did nothing on it, nothing at all. And that's the type of lad he was. And he actually came up training then, and I was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to train. I was like, of course you're not going to be able to train.
Exactly the same.
Your legs broke 3 years.
And then he came back at times, and actually we played Crumlin, and we were 2-0 down. We brought him on, he scored one and made one, got back to 2-2, had to go back off. We ended up losing 4-2, but he was in and out of the team, and for the next kind of year, so just couldn't get back. He ended up going to Bangor, couldn't get back again. And when I became manager, I got him to come back again. I was like, just come back. And it's like, it's a little bit different. Obviously, we're going to play, you'll play further up the pitch. He never liked running backwards. But he just never was able to get back to where he was. And that's because of his head. Do you know what I mean? If his head just wasn't there. And I've played with some great players, but I think they did realise their potential, or they did play to a great level for a certain length of time. But he's one that should have he should have went on. Do you know what I mean?
Unfortunate.
But he just didn't have the head.
Yeah. So we're going into best 11. So
Yeah.
you say you're racking your brain with this one, were you?
Racking my brain. You know, the first thing
You have a game next week. Be careful with this.
The first thing I thought of was, I really don't want to put a keeper in it, because I hate keepers, but I'm gonna put one in anyway.
You're gonna play with 10,
I just all through my career just never got on with keepers, because they're just demonious people, aren't they?
Yeah.
They
I
always
totally
think
agree.
they can play outfield, and they can't. And for me, they're just a step away from being a Gaelic player. That's what they are. Do you know what I mean?
Revelations on this one.
I just never liked them, but I'll put one in for the sake
And your
of the
keeper's
team.
your captain, is he?
He was. I actually turned to the lads. It's the first time he was being the captain on yesterday, and I was like, I can't believe I have a keeper captain. I can't believe it. I was like, but we had left the captain out anyway, and that's the reason why he was the captain on Sunday. I was like, the fella I'm gonna put in now to the team, he won't believe that I had a keeper as captain, because I tormented him for years. So the keeper I put in is Chris Mason. Brilliant keeper for Wayside, actually Greystones as well, LSL team. He was just a brilliant goalkeeper. He's a great lad as well, to be fair to him, but he tormented me and I tormented him for years, giving him stick. But just a brilliant goalkeeper, and one of the best LSL keepers I'd say over the last 20 odd years. He's still playing with Ardmore now. He's not playing very well, but he's still in between the posts. But
You have to get a little dig
Yeah,
in.
you got
exactly,
the
yeah,
in
but
there.
definitely
Fucking keepers.
in LSL terms, definitely the best one I played. The fellow we have now, Dean, very good goalkeeper as well. I suppose I only played one for the year, but he's very good. I put him up there among the best in our league at the moment, definitely. So, but we go with Meso for number one. As I said earlier, I was listening to Dean Kelly about the defenders, and I'm gonna pick solid defenders. So, right back, well, right and left back are both. They can both play right or left back. So Kenny Simpson, who was the assistant manager to me, Wayside, won everything, intermediates, leagues,
Tough
everything.
lad as well, yeah.
Brilliant defender. Just again, in his head, he was a step or two ahead of people. He's still playing now, and he's 38, 39, do you know what I mean? And that's because of his head. Just good communicator, all that sort of thing. So Kenny at right back. I didn't play with that many good left backs. The one I was thinking of was Will Murphy. You might remember.
Yeah,
him,
I was going to ask you about him there. Yeah, Will's a good
blonde
lad.
hair. He
Played with him in the Dublin team. They got on very well with him.
Yeah, great player. Now he stopped playing. I think he stopped playing the year I was at Greystones on. He played after that.
So he went to Bray with you, did he?
Yeah, he was in Bray. Yeah. No, brilliant player, and he was at Joe's when the 18s and that. Like, I never saw him have a bad game.
Great lad as well, though.
Yeah, great lad.
Do you remember Will? No, left foot used to have the step, wasn't it?
Step. Yeah.
For Joey's.
Joey's, very good left foot he was.
Was his dad play ball, or was his dad
I
something?
think his dad might have played rugby for Ireland.
Oh, that's what it might have been.
Think he did.
I think
it's funny because
so.
I only saw on his Instagram that he was at the Leinster match the other day, and it's just like, what is he going to rugby for? And I'm nearly sure it was either his dad or his uncle or something like that.
No, I think it's his dad, because years ago when he was playing that final, I remember someone saying something like that. His dad plays for Ireland.
Yeah.
No, I don't know why, whether I thought he was a scout or whatever, but that's what it must be. Yeah.
No, but he was brilliant. I just didn't play him, I suppose, at senior level for long enough to put him in. Who I put in is Ronan Ivory. He was with Bray with me as well, and one of the reasons why I put him in is that we played Derry away in the Brandywell when Derry were good. I don't know if Stephen Kenny was the manager, he might have been, but Paddy McCourt played wide left and Ronan played right back, and Ronan never gave him a sniff, and this was proper Paddy McCourt. He was the best player in the league type thing, yeah. And just before he went to Celtic and that, and Ronan was unbelievable that night. I think we drew 0-0, and to be fair to the Derry fans, they gave standing ovation to the Bray players on the way off, but like, I was giving him a standing ovation. He was unbelievable that night, and he was a good player for us in Wayside. He played for Arklow, I think, for a while, and then he had 3 or 4 years in Wayside. And again, probably a theme of my team will be that in his head he was able to defend, he's able to drop off, he's able to tackle, and him or Simo could play right or left back, do you know what I mean? So go with the two of them. The two centre halves, I have to pick them together, Deo and Wayne. Just if the ball's going into your box, they're going to head it away, do you know what I mean? Just winners. They've won everything together, won everything at the club, and if you're going into battle with those two centre halves, you're going to have a really good chance. It's a good platform to go and win the game with them two, do you know what I mean? And just the two of them, they're just winners. And that Noel Ryan Cup final that I mentioned earlier on, Wayne was sent off in the dying minutes, but he got 2 Crumlin players sent off with him because he beat Danny Loughran. And so Danny hit him, and
a taste of his own medicine Danny got, did he?
And him and Danny got on unbelievably well. They were roomed together with the amateurs and all. It was nothing against Danny. It was just he did anything that he had to win. And Sailor and Christie get on really well as well. Like, really good friends. Always had time for each other and that. But I think there was a clash in midfield, and I think Danny was getting up and Wayne wasn't able to get up, so he was holding him down and bit him. Danny hit him, and I think Gavin Kavanagh came in and hit him. So 2 of them were sent off and Wayne was sent off. There was only a couple of minutes left. But
I shook hands afterwards.
Had a drink after.
Yeah, that's funny enough. I was chatting with Danny yesterday after the game, watching it, and he was telling me about an altercation that happened there a couple of weeks back. But anyways, he said to me, look, listen, you know what I'm like, I'll stand on your head, you'll stand on my head playing a match, but I'll come over to you and shake your hand after. And that's the way he was. Yeah.
And I think that's, even listening to your podcast as well, I think you have to get into your head when you're playing that everyone else is a dickhead, do you know what I mean? And all other clubs, they're scum, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But really, when you think about it and you strip it back, 99% of people in all the clubs are sound. Do you know, they're just there to play football.
And we're all doing that, and we're all there for the same thing.
That's it. And once the game is over, you shake hands with everyone and you move on. You go and have a drink or whatever it is. And I think that you do forget that sometimes when you're playing and you're trying to get into that, get that extra percent out of yourself or whatever it is that everyone's against you. They're not really, do you know what I mean? They just want to win.
They're striving like the way you are.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. So, the back four it'd be solid enough, The rest of the team is a hard one. It's to get players in. So I'll go with the 2 midfielders first. Ray Whelan, amateur. I think did he get amateur player of the year? Maybe 1 year. Maybe came second in it. Definitely nominated, but amazing player, amazing person as well. Just his enthusiasm will just it ripples through the dressing room.
Enthusiastic,
just amazing player.
Good leader.
Absolute leader. He was captain of Wayside for a good few years. But yeah, again, someone I learned a lot from. And I remember he gave me a bollocking one day. We were playing actually in United Park. We were playing Drogheda, and I always wore Under Armour, and I came out for the second half, and I had me Under Armour, like me around me knuckles, and I think I was second to a ball or something like that. And he's like, "Come on, will you?" He's like, "You might have to roll your sleeves up a bit to get to the next ball." And it's just like, spot on, you know what I mean? I knew straight away. Yeah. But again, a brilliant player, got so many goals.
Important goals he got, didn't he? Really important goals.
Definitely him. The other one was Caelan Murray. You mentioned him earlier. Just the most underrated player I've ever played with, and he probably underrates himself as well. Like, he'd never say he was the best player, but he just did the ugly things, and he did them so well. And again, as I said earlier, in the latter stage of his career, he got a lot of goals, a lot of important goals. The year we got promoted, he must have scored 12, 15 goals from midfield, stuff that he probably hadn't been doing previously in his career. You know, he just learned where to run and when to run and that. But just a brilliant player. And again, with those two in midfield, you're not going to get an easy game against you. I was going to go 4-4-2, but I probably have to go maybe two number 10s really. So John O'Neill has to be in the team. He's just so much ability, just frightening ability. Again,
did you say he's playing in goal now?
He's playing in goal now, yeah.
Right.
And like Caleb was saying, he's actually good in goal. Do you know what I mean? But I can't
where
imagine
did that
playing
materialise?
goal. I don't know. Probably just not able to play anymore outfield, you know. And even going back a couple of years, he was kind of still saying like he should be in the first team. He was assistant to Caleb the first year that I was there as the first team manager, and he was kind of saying Ross should be picking me, and like he was way off the level he used to be at. You know what I mean? But he still, in training, he'd still do something unbelievable, and it'd be just so much
to
better
keep his
than everyone
hope.
else. And everyone just like, he's unbelievable. Do you know what I mean? But then like he tried again and give it away or whatever. Well, like he has to be in the team. Do you know what I mean? Again, scored a lot of goals over the years too, and amateur international. I think he played for UCD in the League of Ireland at one stage as well. But yeah, just amazing player. The other number 10 I'll do is Darren Lacey. So again, the year we won the league, lots of goals from him. Still now he's 39. I'd say he won all the over 35s with, I think, in the Wicklow League the other last year. I think they won 4 trophies or something. Brilliant player, absolutely brilliant player. Again, another one that came from Bray. Is with him in Bray. But his movement was frightening. Even now, we played the 35s game for P a few months ago, and his movement was just amazing. Again, it's just little feints and drags and that, you know. So
that league, and it's like something totally different.
Yeah,
it's like there's multiple by 10.
Yeah, yeah. He still has that even explosion of pace over like 5 yards. You know, just brilliant, and great finisher as well. So definitely him. And then the two strikers, I'm gonna go with Sailor, Ian Callaghan. Just even the year and a half or so that I had with him, he was just, you could see that he still had it. And the last time, do you remember the junior soccer portal?
Yeah, JSP.
I was asked to do the 1 to 11 for that, and I left him out, and like I've never got a week like it in Wayside, so I can't leave him out again. But the reason why I left him out was I'd only had a year and a half with him, but in hindsight, he obviously had the quality, you know, and that, and he coached then as well. Now I think he has the 14s or so in Wayside. The son is on it, and he's a very good coach as well, you know. So be hoping that he brings through a few players for us as well. So definitely him. And the other one would be Davey O'Sullivan. So he was with us for a year again. I played with him in Bray, but he ended up going to Longford, and I think he's still Longford's top goal scorer. So just a goal machine. Like, he probably technically wasn't the best player. Even his whole of play, he'd never get an assist, but if you gave him a chance, you get a goal. Do you know what I mean? So I think if you had the stability that we'll have in that team, and the winners, the Deos and the Waynes, if you got chances to Davies and the Sailors, then you'd have half a chance, you know. So I'm after leaving out a few players, but
you're going to have to suffer for that, though.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. No, but I'm happy with that. I think they all deserve to be in. And
brilliant.
Yeah, it'd be a decent side too.
Very good.
Yeah.
Quality. Well,
So
Ross.
thanks very much, Ross. That was a good career, and it's only
Great
the
to have
start of
you,
your
pal.
manager career as well, though. So it's a lot to go.
Best of luck,
Thanks,
guys.
pal, yeah.
Thanks
Thanks
very
for having
much.
me, lads.
Thank
You're doing
you.
great.
Thanks for coming.